Vibe blowing at the J, got the loud jumping at the bag. Everything I'm on slack, everything I do is got the band jumping at the bag. Vibe blowing at my J, got the loud jumping at the bag. Everything I'm on slack, everything I do is got the band jumping out the bag. Another milestone, look at that. Paper boy, I'm a paper route till I'm 6 down on my back. I'm an old soul like my dad. My old girl's still a fan. And yo girl at the live show, so don't act like I ain't the man. I'm kicking my feet up, get frank like Aretha. I'm calm but I'm teed up, just flip me a stack. The re-up just doubled up off of the muscle, I stuck to the task. They see me, I'm troubled, I'm bubbling up till it's stuck. And they want me to stay where I'm at. I'm good everywhere that I'm stepping, my presence is crucial. You know that this shit not no trend. On a big wave, I'm controlling the tides. Snake eyes when you rolling the dice. So with the stakes inside, I can never take another nigga's advice. They can't reach the sky, I'm aiming up high. I just wanna know what it's like. Y'all know what it's like, I come from outside of this. Out the quicksand, I'm the big man, doing big things. Couple big change, up a state lines, doing stage dives on cam. Get my good side. It ain't no limit to my vision. Check the temp, I'm on fire with it. Got the band jumping out the bag, Prosecco on ice. I'm nobody nice. Gonna run up a check, demand my respect. I'm doing the most, I never quit. They want me to quit. I'm good as it come, I'm good as it gets. Vibe blowing at the J, got the loud jumping out the bag. Everything I'm on slack, everything I do is got the band jumping out the bag. Vibe blowing at my J, got the loud jumping out the bag. Everything I'm on slack, everything I do is got the band jumping out the bag. Vibe blowing on the J.
She might be what I need. She get spicy, want taste test, come by me. Yeah, I'm icy, way too icy. I get paper, I'm big screen, I'm spiky. I'm vibing, too wavy. I could tell they wanna get like me. Timid straight shooter, I'm dumping the clip that I'm dipping. Hitting the mark with the weightiest art. I rage with my heart and it's right with my wrists. Cut up the pay with the real ones. I see a few million, we want it, we need it, let's get it. Long live the niggas that get it, they live how they say it. A sentence, we really the trillest. Please don't pretend with that love that you send it is fuck if you like me, I call me the Bennett. Somebody tell God forgive me, I'm sinning. I think that she know, but he got me, I'm winning. Clout is a dangerous drug and your phone is the plug. Everybody on that shit pretending. So many lost and they chasing what's trending. Boy, yeah, let's forget it, I'm back to my senses. I'm only helping a man in the mirror. From here on I'm open, I'm focused. Okay, I lied if you riding, I'm riding. I put on the folks and trust in me. Get with it, come fuck with me. I don't bet it's love, you stuck with me. I'm coming and clutch for me. Get with it, they get lost, ain't nobody touching me, yeah. She like me, she might be what I need. She get spicy, want taste test, come by me. Yeah, I'm icy, way too icy. I get paper, I'm big screen, I'm spiky. vibey, just vibey, too wavy. And see, they won't get like me. I'm vibey, just vibey, too wavy. Come and get like me. She like me, she might be what I need. Too icy, way too icy. I get paper, a big screen, I'm spiky. I'm vibey, just vibey, too wavy. I can tell they wanna get like me. I'm vibey, just vibey, too wavy. Come and get like me.
Before you tell me that I've changed a lot, take a minute to consider a lot has changed me.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay and everything looks good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji or a membership emoji in the chat. If things are not looking good, not sounding good, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Good to see you as always, being a mod extraordinaire. Make sure you guys throw some love in the chat for her, some flames, some radiation emoji. Y'all already know what to do. Membership emoji in the chat for Brooklyn Queen, enforcing the likes and enforcing the merch. Definitely appreciate it. And to the people who have not said what's up yet, what's up to y'all, all right? So what we're going to do in this live stream is we're going to talk about these claims of prisoners in the Congo being released, all right, and quote unquote sent to the United States. Shout out to AW1. What's good with it, bro? All right, we're going to talk about that, all right, because I think that that's important. And we got another live stream that will be taking place sometime later today where we are going to be talking about issues with the hurricane and where the money went, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all saw the video that TD Media did about that particular situation, comparing the hurricane FEMA funds to the migrant crisis FEMA funds. But I think it's a very good place to start as we take our deep dive down that rabbit hole, because we got to ask that question about the FEMA funds. How is FEMA broke? You know what I'm saying? How are they broke? Keep that in mind. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to talk about this alleged quote unquote misinformation of quote unquote criminal migrants being sent to the United States. All right. One of the things that we're going to go over is the fact that there is a domestic terror level. All right. And it's at high. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Why do you all think that the domestic terror level is quote unquote at high? Is it at high because of people here in the United States? Yeah, probably. You know what I'm saying? There's a group of people that likes to shoot stuff up a lot. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the group of people that they talk about on Fox News all the time, right? But in addition to that, there is now imported issues here domestically that could be contributing to this. All right, so let's check it out.
Right now, the risk of terrorism inside the U.S. is high. That is the warning coming from the Department of Homeland Security in their latest threat assessment, and it's not good. The annual DHS report laid out the biggest threats to American safety and security, highlighting factors like the upcoming election and the rising tensions in the Middle East. Officials suggest the threat level could peak during election season, with additional risks for Muslim and Jewish communities as we approach 1 year since the October 7th attack on Israel, and also the start of Rosh Hashanah. DHS now warning that violent extremists could be planning to act soon. Charles Marino is here now, former DHS senior advisor.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. What violent extremists do you all think that they're talking about? Not migrants, right? But we're going to get to that.
And author of Terrorists on the Border and in Our Country. How significant is this threat level assessment right now? I know it fluctuates. Is this much higher than concerned, and how does it compare to recent elections?
Good morning, Marnie. Well, it's been high for quite some time based on international events and our own domestic environment here with an open southwest border for the past 3.5 years. So certainly we've been at a heightened level.
There you go. There you go. So now, again, we got to ask these questions and we got to go about this pragmatically, right? Because when people start talking about specific issues, that's where all of the deflection and all of the emotionalism comes in. If this is the case, right? If this is the case, who is responsible for managing the southern border? We all know who's responsible for managing the southern border, right? One of those people wants to be the president again. So let's ask this. If things were good, right? The question would be, well, if things have been this good now, how good will they be in another 4 years? This is great. We should re-elect this person, right? That's what people usually do when they re-elect somebody. Now, what kind of sense does it make if things are bad and you say things are bad? Another 4 years, they could get worse. Well, I'm going to throw my votes in for this individual. Who uses that type of logic to make a decision? You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to you, Law. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. What's good with you, bro?
Good morning, Marnie. Well, it's been high for quite some time based on international events and our own domestic environment here with an open southwest border for the past 3.5 years. So certainly we've been at a heightened level. What we're not seeing here as part of this warning coming out of DHS and the FBI is a formal rising of the level to elevated or imminent under the National Terrorism Advisory System. I helped usher in this system when we did away with the color-coded threat system under DHS. There are 2 levels under the National Terrorism Advisory System, elevated and imminent, and both require specific and credible intelligence of an impending attack here in the United States. So the fact that we're not seeing that is good. However, with world events the way they are, especially including against adversaries like Iran and Russia, who both participate in both kinetic and cyber situations and events around the world, including possibly here in the United States, it's a grave concern right now.
I think about a secure election. I think about being cut off from the power grid, the water grid we're seeing in the South because of the storm and how great.
Now, being cut off from the water grid, right? I think that that's a great place to start leading into the discussion about what's going on in North Carolina, right? Now, here's my question. The hurricane is not an attack. And no hurricane has been an attack. Let me ask you guys this. Think back into history, right? Now, some of the hurricanes have not been looked at as favorable, right? You guys remember Hurricane Katrina. For whatever reason, and we know what the reason is, the mainstream media, the population at large, all of those people literally looked at Hurricane Katrina as if it was some type of event where massive people needed to be arrested, massive people needed to be policed, and massive people needed to have guns pointed at them and their guns taken away from them, right? In Hurricane Katrina. And we know why that is. Because Hurricane Katrina affected a large group of people that America likes to not consider Americans. So, you know, the same rights, privileges, and everything that should have occurred with an organization like FEMA helping in a disaster situation, it was used to implement state police, for the most part, to create even more of a disaster that had already taken place. Now, with this particular situation, you see all of the tears coming out. You know, everybody's so sad. We're not supposed to be treated like that. Let me ask you guys this question. When people say those kind of things, they're not supposed to be treated like that. What do they mean? They're not supposed to be treated like what? Because I would go as far as to say the way that this hurricane is being treated, it's no different than what went on in Hurricane Katrina. Except for you didn't have crazy governors and a crazy president basically dog whistling, you know, point your guns at these people and take these people's guns away. You guys remember? If you guys recall that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't recall that, give me a thumbs down. And if we need to review Hurricane Katrina for people to remember exactly what went on during Hurricane Katrina and how that differs from what's going on here, I'll be more than happy to do that. You know what I'm saying? More than happy.
Great of an impact that has. What are the greatest vulnerabilities in the U.S. right now from a threat?
Well, we face more threats from more places at any time. And these are robust threats, Marnie, that are extremely diverse. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about a cyber event, for example, that could knock critical infrastructure offline and bring the country to its knees. Or we can have a traditional terrorist incident here in the country based on the fact that we have not been buttoned up the way we should have been.
So now, again, check this out, right? If you ask me, over the course of years, it has been proven that a natural event can cause more chaos more quickly in the United States than a planned domestic terror event. So imagine, right? Natural events, for the most part, they have all kind of warning and everything. They have the Doppler system, they have the weather system, they have satellites, they got GPS, scientists and meteorologists working in all these different places, so they can anticipate when all of these destructive natural forces are coming, for the most part, with a good time period in advance before they actually hit. So imagine if a surprise terrorist attack actually hit. How devastating that would be, how chaotic that would be, how the lack of coordination and planning would be here in the United States. It would be a hot mess. It would be a hot mess. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man, Win, Lose, or Rug. Make sure y'all show Win, Lose, or Rug some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Win, Lose, or Rug. And y'all already know, man, Win, Lose, or Rug hit you with the big bag. He hit you with the big bag. So you know what that means. Get your forks, get your knives, get your plates. Time for some cat and dog.
In Springfield.
So don't push me, ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians, somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is cough it up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. Gone overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug, bro. Definitely appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to U-Law. U-Law says, Rob, you're exactly right. I'm from New Orleans. Yeah, bro. I remember watching that on the news. You know what I'm saying? In New Orleans, the political discussion around that, the way that people were talking about that on social media, when Hurricane Katrina came, they blamed the people of New Orleans for the hurricane. They cut them off from food. They attempted to seize their property. They attempted to take their guns. All bad publicity about it. The people in New Orleans were not treated as if they were victims of the hurricane. The people in New Orleans were treated as if they brought the hurricanes. Let them die, for the most part. Now, all of a sudden, it's a national outrage because there's a hurricane. Because America's children is affected by it for the most part. And they're the face of it. Hurricane Katrina is the crack epidemic. And this new hurricane is the heroin epidemic for the most part. And now everybody should just gather around and we should all just fall out and pray because America's children are being affected by this hurricane. I don't think so. Because I remember watching on TV how America treated its bastard children when we were affected by a hurricane. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're going to talk about it, but it's not going to be like a sob fest over here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton. What's good with you, bro? It's not going to be a sob fest.
here in the homeland. And I think that last part that I pointed out is what's keeping law enforcement and intelligence officials, at least my former colleagues that I speak with, up at night, because they know we haven't been doing everything the right thing to keep the homeland safe and secure right now. We've got 15 to 20 million people in the country that cannot be thoroughly vetted. We have no idea who they are ultimately, and that's a grave concern. We know that the terrorist watch list has been a point of contention here, where suspects have been discovered to have made entry into the country. And these are the things that should not be happening. These are the stopgap measures here that no matter what's going on around the rest of the world, we need to be strong beginning at our own borders.
And there's nothing worse than feeling helpless.
And I wouldn't disagree with this. If you guys agree with what this guy is saying here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would agree with what this guy is saying, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
As Americans, to protect ourselves from a threat, is there anything everyday Americans can do right now?
Well, I preach to my own family that increased vigilance is the way to go. Understand your surroundings, understand world events, what's going on in the world. A lot of people have their heads buried in their phones and they're not paying attention to what's going on around the world, nonetheless, what's going on here in the United States. So be aware of what's going on. Understand we are at this heightened threat environment. It's very real. We've got some significant events coming up here in the country, as you pointed out, like the upcoming election. That could draw some attention from our adversaries. And remember, too, places like Iran and Russia are known to use and work with proxies such as.
Now, let me ask you guys this. When they talk about the domestic terrorism, don't you guys think that is interesting? They never talk about the domestic terrorism that's right inside of Washington, D.C. There's domestic terrorism right inside Washington, D.C. If you ask me, right, the sitting party right now, for the most part, that has the majority of the power in Washington, D.C., they're also currently, and they have been, conducting their own election interference exercises. And they've been doing it for a long time. If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. But because of the current administration and because of any administration that takes power in the United States, the Department of Homeland Security probably would not be able to discuss that in those terms.
Just Hamas, Hezbollah. Russia is very well known working with proxy groups to conduct cyber attacks against the United States. So know that while we may not be able to point the finger directly back at a state actor like Iran or Russia, their proxies are out and about thinking about ways to hit the United States.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
All right, so there's that. All right. So now next what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a video from Fox, and they're talking about the same situation, just in a different way. So let's take a look at this, shall we?
More on this. We're joined now by former acting DHS Deputy Secretary and Senior Fellow at the Center for Renewing America, Ken Cuccinelli. Ken, I want to get into the chaos at the border, but first, you were the acting Deputy Director at DHS. Now, what is your reaction to hearing Mayorkas saying, we're out of money, we need more money?
Look, in the Trump administration,
we're out of money. We need more money. So when they say we're out of money, we need more money, what are they talking about? That's not a good situation, right? But again, in most cases, when it comes to the FEMA money, a lot of that money does not go to private individuals. In many cases, the FEMA money goes to large corporate interests for them to rebuild the areas that the quote unquote natural disasters have destroyed, for them to create revenue generating real estate. Natural disasters, for the most part, in many cases, are a precursor to a quote unquote land grab, right? Or a quote unquote gentrification. Now, I find it interesting when they talk about this in terms of, because there's a lot of lithium in these areas of the places where the most recent hurricane has hit. And these people are coming up with these theories and saying, well, it's the lithium. They want to take our lithium. Well, when you look back in history and you see eminent domain and you see all of the things that the United States government did to us, it's just woke. It's just people wanting a handout. All I got to say is I used to work for a company that offers flood insurance. Hopefully you paid your premiums. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DeAndre. Make sure y'all show DeAndre some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DeAndre for being a like enforcer. All right? Definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all do exactly what DeAndre is saying. I can't have sympathy for people who did not have any sympathy for those of us that were affected when these things harmed us. So what will happen is when these similar things happen to those very people who laughed and thought that it was funny, you will be given the same responses that we were given. And nobody will care that you say you don't have a heart. I will say, well, if you need to reach for something, just reach directly through this hole in my chest and get whatever it is that you need to do and pull your arm out when you're done.
It's called reprogramming. Reprogram money within the Department of Homeland Security, and there are conditions to it. But we reprogram money to stop illegal immigrants from coming in to the United States. They spent FEMA money, and they keep denying it, but it's on the FEMA website. They spent about $1 billion in the last year or two housing and transporting illegals in. So,
Rob, it's just content strategy. You're just trying to get views off of talking about the hurricane. I don't think so. I think that the hurricane falls under undocumented jurisdiction. If you guys agree that the hurricane falls under Cartelo's jurisdiction, throw some membership emoji in the chat. Shout out to Shamika. What's good with it, Shamika?
Security, and there are conditions to it. But we reprogram money to stop illegal immigrants from coming in to the United States. They spent FEMA money, and they keep denying it, but it's on the FEMA website. They spent about $1 billion in the last year or two housing and transporting illegals in.
So now when we start to do an accounting, right? Shout out to the people that been around the channel for a long time. Shout out to U-Law, because I know U-Law remembers this. U-Law, you remember auditing America? This is why it's so important for people to do these audits. Because I don't know if you guys saw TD Media Group's video, but you guys should check it out if you get a chance. The White House press secretary sat there and lied. She sat there and lied. She said that the Biden administration didn't spend any money on the migrant crisis and that Trump spent all the money on the migrant crisis. But even still, there's been 3.5 years of tax revenues since Trump was in office that could have been redistributed to FEMA. These discussions about the migrant crisis and the hurricane, they shouldn't even be taking place in the same sentence if we had a structured and organized government, but we don't. And this is just exposing it. It's exposing it even more.
Called reprogramming. Reprogram money within the Department of Homeland Security, and there are conditions to it. But we reprogram money to stop illegal immigrants from coming in to the United States. They spent FEMA money, and they keep denying it, but it's on the FEMA website. They spent about $1 billion in the last year or two housing and transporting illegals in. So while the Trump administration was using what money it could scrape together to block illegal immigrants from coming in, the Biden and Harris administration has used FEMA dollars to pay them to come into the country. It is the exact opposite, and using taxpayer dollars. And now it sure would be nice to have that $1 billion available as Helene's destruction and the count just grows, not just, sadly, the death count, but also the property damage and the infrastructure damage that's going to need to be.
Yo, that's hey, that's Moe's Crab Shack. How many people ever been to Moe's Crab Shack? If you ever been to Moe's Crab Shack, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, give me a thumbs down.
Repaired in areas of the country that, frankly, don't have a lot of resilience.
Yeah, this is the devastation unimaginable. I want to just shift gears a little bit, though, and stay now on the border chaos, because I was reporting this week on a number of bombshell reports. The latest one out of the House Judiciary Committee that reports CBP has encountered more than 1.7 million special interest aliens. These are from countries like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, with significant ties to terrorism.
So now these 1.7 million, shout out to Michael R. What's good with you, bro? Good to see you as always. These 1.7 million special interest encounters, right? Do you all think that this high number of special interest encounters has anything to do with the heightened level of risk for domestic terrorism in the United States currently? If you guys think so, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not think so, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
Your reaction?
My reaction is, and I know this is hard for Americans. We're all Americans. You and I are, everybody watching probably. This is going to hurt us for decades. Decades. We're going to be paying the price for this. Look at how long Hamas sat in wait before the October 7th attack on Israel last year. 17 years. They gathered up money, international aid money, right, that was used not for aiding the people of Gaza, but to prepare for 17 years to strike as terrorists against Israel. Folks, that's who's coming into this country. Lots and lots of those folks are being invited in and let in by border czar Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden and incompetent Secretary Mayorkas. This is going to be deadly for years to come.
And we have reported previously on the fact that the number of individuals hitting that terror screening watch list up 3,300%. 11 for the Trump years, 382 under the Biden-Harris administration. Final word, how concerned should our...
Again, this is another data point that to me should be a determinant for people who are voting. I mean, if you simply look at the numbers tell the story. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. How do you argue with this data?
For years to come.
And we have reported previously on the fact that the number of individuals hitting that terror screening watch list up 3,300%. 11 for the Trump years, 382 under the Biden-Harris administration. Final word, how concerned should our officials be?
Look, even somebody like Christopher Wray has said this is one of the most dramatic national security threats that America has right now. And I agree with him on that. And it is a latent one. We're, again, we're Americans. We want to see the problem. This is a secret problem that this administration has allowed to grow like no one before them of either party. They are shattering records for letting.
Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said feelings over data. Monolith, bro.
Just like a woman. Because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. The Reaper keep it 1,000.
The Monolith don't keep it 1,000, but Carlton do. You know what I'm saying? Carlton keep it 1,000 like the Reaper.
Evil, destructive, vicious people who hate America into this country, and we're going to pay a price for many years to come. It's very sad and it's very dangerous.
And I hope you are wrong, although it is
Me
very
too.
concerning indeed. Ken Cuccinelli, former acting DHS Deputy Secretary, thank you for your time.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now next, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time. All right, we are going to go back in time, and where we're going to go back in time to is 9 months ago. All right, just like a little baby, you know what I'm saying? And we survived, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to us, you know what I'm saying? So migrants were flown to Chicago's airport on a private plane from Texas. All right. How do you think that was funded? How do you think that these private flights for these migrants that were flown all over the place were funded?
As the number of migrants in Chicago surpasses 26,000 and city officials crack down on bus drivers violating local laws, Texas officials are changing their tactics. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Schneider.
I'm Dawn Hasbrook. A new development for the first time. Migrants were flown here on a private plane. Casey Cronus is live at O'Hare, where additional planes could be on the way. Casey.
And city officials likely will not know until they are here. That is what happened last night. Texas officials say it is in response to the city obstructing its busing program, while local leaders are calling it trafficking. At the direction of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, more than 100 migrants boarded a private plane from El Paso to O'Hare Tuesday. Abbott's office tells our sister station in Dallas that because Mayor Brandon Johnson is, quote, targeting migrant buses from Texas, we are expanding our operation to include flights to Chicago, unquote.
We have a governor that now openly and defiantly is saying that he's going to commit human trafficking to show Chicago and to teach us a lesson.
Monday, the mayor announced harsher penalties for bus drivers who don't follow guidelines, including impounding and towing buses that try to skirt the law.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Whatever happened to all of this? How many people remember when this was going on? If you guys don't remember when this was going on, go back and watch Undocumented Bros. Go back and watch the Undocumented Bros playlist. Whatever happened to any of this? Kind of just disappeared. Kind of just stopped happening.
They're just dropping all people anywhere. Do you understand how raggedy and how evil that is?
Tinley Park now passing its own set of ordinances, discouraging bus.
I think people would say that it's raggedy and evil to not take care of the people who put you in office and to take more care of these people who are being bussed in. I think that most people would say that. I think a lot of people are saying, why did we vote for Brandon Johnson? And we're asking the same question. Well, why did you? You know what I'm saying?
Just dropping all people anywhere. Do you understand how raggedy and how evil that is?
Tinley Park now passing its own set of ordinances, discouraging buses from stopping there.
This is about, making the bus companies be accountable.
The village has not gotten any migrant buses, but if it does, bus companies will need to fill out an application requesting permission and identify everyone on board for background checks.
And assures us that you're providing them a safe place to stay. They have to know who they're taking up. Not only is that for the safety of the bus and other passengers on the bus, but also the communities that they're arriving at.
City officials say that buses have already tried dropping migrants off in Cicero, Schiller Park, and Rosemont. And in response to today's developments, Alderman Sigcho Lopez is calling on the federal government to launch an investigation into Abbott's practices. Reporting live at O'Hare, Casey Cronin, Fox 32, Chicago.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here, about how in certain situations, literally nothing ever gets done about anything. There's never a follow-up on anything. You guys remember that, right? What was the follow-up on that? That literally just fell off the radar. that literally just fell off the radar. Remember, there was the bus wars. I even made a whole new intro for it and everything. Shout out to DeAndre. Facts. DeAndre says, bruh, this has become an I know you are, but what am I election. Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with DeAndre, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Illegal migrants in Ohio may soon be jailed, fined, or kicked out thanks to a proposed Republican law. All right. So we're going to take a listen to what J.D. Vance is saying about Kamala Harris. And if you guys agree with J.D., then give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Well, how many are at the scale of Springfield? Hopefully not that many, but I do think that Kamala Harris's plan is to basically turn every city in this country into Springfield, where you have, small town, 40,000 people, where she drops in 20,000 immigrants in the last just few years. And it's just impossible for any town to absorb it. Higher housing prices, stressed out social services, an education system that's not functioning, hospitals, services that aren't doing what they need to do. It's just very, very hard to imagine any town absorbing this many migrants. It's done by design, and we really have to fix it.
And as a follow-up to that, you talked about the stress on social services. Have you been working with teams, local, state? Because, we've kind of seen some different responses from other leaders. So have you been working in coordination with any of those entities to make sure that Ohioans are being put first?
Yeah, we actually first talked about this issue publicly a few months ago because we were hearing from some of the city leadership in Springfield, and then also obviously a lot of constituents about the fact that there are a lot of stresses on the system, in particular a lot of people who can't afford housing in Springfield, an increase in homelessness, a lack of housing opportunity for a lot of families. So we would try to work with our banking committee colleagues to try to identify some solutions. Unfortunately, when you're in the United States Senate and Vice President Kamala Harris doesn't want to do anything except for further open the border, it's sometimes hard to actually get solutions when you have such an uncooperative White House.
All right, so there's that, right? Now, what I would say is, I would say that this hurricane situation it's a perfect example. It's a perfect example of resources being stretched out far too thin, and then when an actual emergency happens, there's not enough money to deal with the emergency. Like this is putting all your eggs in one basket going wrong in real time. You know what I'm saying? Carl just said JD need to get his weight up. What about Tim Walz though? Tim Walz need to get his weight down though, right? You know, and most of it is in his head. At least JD can talk a good game. I don't know about. I think Tim Walz is all bad. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says illegal immigrants in the Buckeye State will soon be put behind bars and fined hundreds of dollars if the state house passes new legislation aimed at punishing people in the country illegally, which comes as questions swirl around the Haitian migrant surge in Springfield. So I want you guys to pay very close attention, right? They weren't doing any of this immediate executive action until the Haitians in Springfield. And mind you, with the Haitians in Springfield so far, there's the car accidents that have occurred, right? But you can't really tie car accidents to gang violence. You know what I'm saying? Car accidents is what's wrong with you? You really don't need to be on the road. Why are they not testing these people the right way, right? There's stuff that we could talk about the car accidents in regards to. And let's not get it twisted. The car accidents would not be happening if they didn't bring in an influx of migrants, right? These are all things that are true, right? However, you got Trinde Aragua taking over buildings across the United States. Chicago, Texas, Too Tough Texas is getting buildings taken over. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really is caring about Governor Abbott wheeling around all over the place, you know what I'm saying, with his holster in the back of his wheelchair. Nobody really cares. Trinde Aragua is still down there taking over buildings, right? Then you got Colorado in Aurora. Trinde Aragua taking over apartment buildings. None of that was enough to get this type of action going. Rumors of Haitian migrants eating cats and eating dogs was enough to get the children of America mobilized to create this type of legislation. I think that's very interesting. I think that's very indicative. I think people need to take a mental note of that. Stop acting like we're all on the same team. We're not. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, there might be the all-star games or whatever type things that happen. You know, people pick out the best players and whatnot, put them all on the same team, right? But, you know, there's divisions. That's just a fact. And why people would deny the facts is to maintain certain advantages. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. The America First Act is set to be introduced in the Ohio House of Representatives next week. Now, here's the thing with this Ohio First Act, right? Or the America First Act. I don't disagree with this, right? I think that this is how things should be. What I have an issue with is why has it gotten so out of control here in the United States that something that's common sense needs to be a written policy? Where are we at that this has to be a written policy? Why is this not common sense? And why is this not the way that the law is practiced in the way that resources are distributed to begin with? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to TD Media. TD Media said, I'm trying to make the all-star team. I ain't mad at it, bro. I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I hear them checks is nice. You know what I'm saying? I hear them checks is nice. You know what I'm saying? But when they're ready to P. Diddy you, when they're ready to Eric Adams you know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you got the escape route planned out. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you got that bad boy planned out. You got to have you some tunnels like they had in Crown Heights, get you them El Chapo tunnels. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the Post exclusively read an early draft of the bill, which aims to support federal immigration law at the state level. So now this right here is something that would not be compatible in South Carolina, right? With that sheriff, Kristen Garziano, right? Because this to me sounds like it's something similar to SB 287. If you guys would agree, this sounds like SB 287, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree and it don't sound like SB 287, then give me a thumbs down. GOP representatives Gary Click and Nick Santucci are finalizing the language. New penalties under this legislation include a $500 fine and 1 year in prison, and double that for repeat offenders. And even that is that's still just a slap on the wrist. The America First Act only addresses immigration already determined to be unlawful on the federal level. Click said in an email to fellow Republicans in the State House. This bill is not a fix-all for all immigration-related issues, nor can it be. State-level policies do not have the power to be comprehensive, but we can be complementary. And I don't disagree with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Spider. Make sure y'all show Black Spider some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Black Spider for standing on business and becoming a member. Definitely appreciate it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate you, Black Spider. So now here it says, Click said the bill is meant to send a message to lawful immigrants who value America enough to knock and come through the front door. Ohio can do its part to support legal immigration by prioritizing those who follow the law and discouraging those whose very first act in America is to break the law, he told the Post. And this is phrased very well. I wouldn't disagree with this, and I definitely wouldn't disagree with how it's phrased. Because that's true. Think about this. If we're establishing patterns, right, and someone's first act that they commit upon entry to the country is a crime, is that indicative of their entire duration in the country? It may or may not be, but it doesn't set a good first impression. What happened to when first impressions used to matter? They clearly don't anymore, right? So now here it says, while states don't have the authority to deport, under this legislation, immigration violators will be required to leave Ohio within 72 hours after serving their sentence. The America First Act is a necessary measure to keep Ohio's communities safe. The Biden-Harris immigration policy has put Ohioans at risk by allowing countless unvetted illegal immigrants across our borders, Santucci told the Post. This bill will ensure that, at least in Ohio, only those who respect our country enough to enter legally will be able to stay. House Democrat spokesperson said they were unaware of the impending legislation. And I wouldn't be surprised, because what do Democrats actually do? They don't really pay attention to the environment at all. So why would anybody expect them to pay attention to their work environment and know what legislation is being sent through or not? These people don't take anything serious. You know what I'm saying? The proposal comes just weeks after Springfield, Ohio became a microcosm of America's immigration frustrations as Haitian migrants have overwhelmed the town's social services. The city made national headlines over allegations some migrants were eating residents' pets. All right. But even in Ohio, Republican-controlled state house, this act may be challenging to pass. And that's thanks to a politician's oldest enemy, time. Legislators won't be back until after the election, and their General Assembly will end at the end of this year, a Republican Columbus policy analyst told the Post. Asked if the act would even be enforceable, he replied, "I'm not sure it would be, but that's never stopped the Ohio General Assembly before." Immigration is a powerful issue in Ohio, and an aggressive approach could well pay off for the GOP supermajority in the House. Donald Trump has a comfortable lead over Kamala Harris in the state, 51.5% to 44.3% per the Real Clear Politics average. Two new polls also show Ohio's Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown is trailing his GOP challenger, Bernie Moreno, by 2 points. And listen, Sherrod Brown is terrible. He's terrible. Sherrod Brown is the worst. You know what I'm saying? So now next what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at this DHS threat report. All right. And we talked about this earlier, but we're going to dive more deep into it. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. DHS threat report warns migrants with terrorism ties will continue to exploit the border crisis. Now, let's ask a silly question, right? Because all questions are silly and no questions are good, right? what does that do in a situation where we already have a heightened environment for terrorism in the United States? Does that make things better or does that make things worse? Let me know if that makes things better or if that makes things worse. The Department of Homeland Security warned Wednesday that the threat environment in the United States will remain high in the coming year, with migrants with terrorism ties contributing to the elevated level. Over the next year, we expect some individuals with terrorism ties and some criminal actors will continue their efforts to exploit migration flows and the complex border security environment to enter the United States. The department's 2025 Homeland Threat Assessment warned. All right. So now who's responsible for that environment? Who's directly responsible for that environment? For that particular situation as it exists right now, who are the responsible parties? And my question is, if those people are indeed the responsible parties, right, do they deserve another chance at being in charge of the border? I know people at jobs who have been fired for better performance than what Kamala Harris is looking to be rehired for. But somehow this is a national debate. Let me ask you this. If you were a security guard and you were working at a jewelry store and your job was to make sure that there is less than 1% theft for 365 days, and when you get evaluated, there's been 5% theft within that 365-day period, are you going to be working at that jewelry store anymore? Or are you going to be working for that security firm anymore? More than likely not. Why not? Because the data doesn't support it. If the benchmark is maintained less than 1%, well, we know how to do greater than, less than, I think, right? And if you've allowed 5% of inventory shrink, well, guess what? You've allowed greater than the benchmark, which means that there's been a substantial revenue loss, which means that you're not doing your job effectively, which means if you're not doing your job effectively, then we're not reinvesting our revenue effectively. Somebody's got to go. More than likely, that somebody is you. But for whatever reason, when it comes to talking about politics, other factors come in to the discussion. And it doesn't make sense why those other factors come into the discussion. There's excuses, there's slack, there's all kinds of different things that make it to where arguments that take place outside of reality that don't involve fact are somehow permissible in political discussions. I don't understand how that happens. Shout out to Carlton. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton would say it's the monolith. I wouldn't disagree. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says individuals with potential terrorism connections continue to attempt to enter the homeland at both the U.S., Mexico, and the U.S., Canada borders, and also through the immigration system, it added. Through July of fiscal year 2024, 422 individuals on the federal terrorist screening data set were encountered by authorities trying to enter the United States through the northern or southern border. The terrorist watch list includes people who may be directly engaged in or supporting terrorist activities, as well as known associates of watch list individuals, such as family members. Okay. U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered 283 watch-listed individuals at the U.S.-Canada border and approximately 139 at the U.S.-Mexico border through July. Now, what's interesting about this is that, as you can see here, there's been more watch-listed encounters at the U.S.-Canada border than there have been at the U.S.-Mexico border. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Think about that. U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered 283 watch-listed individuals at the U.S.-Canada border and approximately 139 at the U.S.-Mexico border through July. Migrant encounters at our border have declined over the last year, but migrants are still arriving in high numbers, complicating border and immigration security, according to the threat assessment. Now, this threat assessment is literally coming directly from the United States government. It's not, it shouldn't be, right, partisan, to the extent that, probably Biden and Harris make sure that certain things are in there and certain things are not. But aside from that fact, it's not partisan. It's coming from an organization. Migrant encounters at our border have declined over the last year, but migrants are still arriving in high numbers, complicating border and immigration security, according to the threat assessment. The document also noted that there has been an uptick in migrant encounters at the northern border. Migrant encounters along the U.S.-Canada border continue to increase, with over 181,000 migrant encounters in fiscal year 2024 through August, compared to about 170,000 encounters at the same time in fiscal year 2023. The report stated. So it looks like there's 11,000 more migrant encounters in fiscal year 2024 than there were in fiscal year 2023. Going right along with the pattern. In contrast to the U.S.-Mexico border, many watch list encounters along the U.S.-Canada border occur at ports of entry, and the vast majority of these individuals have legal status in Canada, it continues. Encounters with migrants from Eastern Hemisphere countries where radical Islamic terrorism is more rampant dropped slightly from 2023, from 10% to 9% of overall encounters, but remain a higher proportion of encounters than before fiscal year of 2023, the report said. Not included in the threat assessment were the damning findings of a DHS Inspector General report released Monday, which found migrants being allowed entry into the United States without identification, making it impossible to definitively determine whether they were on a terror watch list or not. Okay? That's kind of scary, right? All these reports are coming out, and none of them are good. In a 2023 review, the DHS IG observed 13% of migrants at two ports of entry, Nogales, Arizona, and San Isidro, California, being allowed to self-report biographic information. So again, in order to get a driver's license in the United States as a citizen, you have to show massive forms of identification. You got to show a birth certificate, right? What else do you have to show to get a driver's license in the United States? You got to show a birth certificate. You have to show a social security card, right? You have to show for the registration of your car, you have to show the VIN number. You have to have a title, right? But to come into the United States as someone who's never been to the United States before, they let you in on a handshake agreement. They let you in on a handshake agreement. Now, if you as an American citizen have to do all of this, right, just to register your car or just to be able to be allowed to drive in the United States, and you can get into the country as an undocumented individual on a handshake agreement, why would you think that all of this manna was going to fall from the sky during a hurricane? It's not. Literally, the way that the people are being treated as far as how the hurricane goes is consistent with the way that the United States has been doing business for a very long time. It's just not being indiscriminate with the way that it's doing business anymore, and it's affecting people that feel that it's their birthright to not be treated that way. You're getting treated that way. You're getting treated that way. And it's not a new thing because you're getting treated that way. It's just another day. You know what I'm saying? It's just another day. So now here it says neither CBP nor ICE could determine how many of the millions of non-citizens seeking entry into the United States each year entered without identification and whose self-reported biographic information was accepted, the report noted, explaining that immigration officers are not required to keep track of whether a migrant presented identification when seeking entry. I mean, why not? So what people need to understand is this. All of this outrage for the migrant crisis, the immigration system is set up to maintain a perpetual migrant crisis. It's not set up to have any type of logistics to be able to track and put people through a process to either become American citizens or to either become deported. None of that exists. All this is a paperwork mess to make it appear that things are getting done that are not getting done. As you guys can see, the very people that are supposed to be keeping track of who comes in and who comes out of the country, they don't even have a mechanism to keep track of these people. This is an incompetent system set up by incompetent people, and it's performing in an incompetent way. If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Neither CBP nor ICE conducted a comprehensive risk assessment for these non-citizens to assess the level of risk these individuals present and developed corresponding mitigation measures, the IG report added. The DHS IG warned that allowing migrants into the country without identification documents posed a risk to domestic air travel because Transportation Security Administration agents would not be able to ensure that individuals on terror watch lists would not be allowed to board flights. But I tell you what, though, TSA can find out whether you got a ticket that you paid or not. Hey, if you about to go fly somewhere, TSA can tell you whether you got a ticket or not. But if you undocumented, you could have a nuclear missile in luggage and nobody cares. And this is the superior world system here in the United States. The very people that are complaining about this right now will, in the same sentence, tell you this is the greatest country in the world. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? TSA's methods to screen for individuals who pose a threat would not necessarily prevent these individuals from boarding flights, the report said. If you ask me, I don't even think that if TSA were to encounter one of these special interest aliens, as they call them, I don't even think that TSA has the proper training to be able to deal with these individuals on the spot. I don't think that TSA would be able to deal with these individuals on the spot. TSA's methods to screen for individuals who pose a threat would not necessarily prevent these individuals from boarding flights, the report said. Now, if they don't have any documents and they're not in a database, the only thing that TSA can do is access databases or either access known identifying information like tattoos and different things like that. If there isn't anything like that, then how would they be able to access any information about them? How would they be able to access any information about them? The annual threat assessment, designed to both inform the public and federal, state, and local DHS partners about potential threats to public safety and security, found that over the next year, the terrorism threat environment in the homeland will remain high. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the terrorism threat environment in the United States has been high for quite some time. It's been high for quite some time. This isn't the first time a DHS report has come out and said that the United States is under a threat of terrorism. These reports come out every couple months. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, I don't know, Rob. I think this is exactly what you said. The world, or the systems in this case, being very much correct. This is working how it's supposed to. Nothing can stop it. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with DeAndre, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Literally, there should literally be no surprises. There should be no surprises. While one monolith sits and votes against their interests in denial, the other monolith, right? One of the other monolith sits there and says, we're not getting treated the way that we're supposed to get treated. Well, whoever wrote a standard of how you're supposed to get treated? You just saw other people getting treated bad and thought that you were in the clear. And then that hurricane came and showed you that you're not. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well. You know what I'm saying? Better use some of that generational wealth since FEMA can't help you. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says DHS. I mean, listen, look, I'm going to tell you, we're going to tell you like this, right? When it comes to the racial wealth gap, the amount of money that there is within the racial wealth gap, that's far more than whatever debt that FEMA's in. So just, you know what I'm saying? Just distribute that amongst each other, and y'all should be able to take care of everything. Right? And next time, prepare better. Watch the weather. Watch the news. Turn on a storm radio. Make sure you have a basement in your house. Stock up at least, 6 months of food or whatever. All these people that make all these videos about ST, you know what I'm saying, HF, right? Or SHTF. Stuff hitting the fan. I mean, it hit the fan and flew all over the place at hundreds of miles per hour. And, it's not really the Rick from Walking Dead and Daryl from Walking Dead environment going on down there. People aren't thriving down there. I don't know. I thought that this was what a lot of people train for. Disaster situations. That's what all the YouTube videos say. That's all the social media content say. That's why all the people got all the camouflage gear at their house. All the guns, right? I've seen more phones being used than guns. But if there's no electricity in those areas, those phones are going to run out of batteries. So the little TikTok videos and all of that stuff that people are doing, depending on how quickly they get the power back or depending on how long it takes to get the power back up, unless y'all got some good Samaritans that are coming in from out of town, which there seem to be some good Samaritans coming in, I don't know how long that stuff is going to last. I don't know. So now here it says DHS indicated that it is particularly concerned about violent extremist responses to the 2024 election cycle and foreign violent extremists carrying out attacks in response to escalating tensions in the Middle East. Foreign terror groups, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, maintain the enduring intent to conduct or inspire attacks in the homeland and have leveraged the conflict in the Middle East to reaffirm this intent, according to the report. Among state actors, DHS expects Iran to remain the primary sponsor of terrorism and continue its efforts to advance plots against individuals, including current and former U.S. officials in the United States. The Homeland Security Assessment provides an important overview of the dynamic and evolving threat landscape, illustrating just how varied and challenging the threats we confront are, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in the statement. Now, Alejandro Mayorkas, he's the same guy that's sitting there saying that there's no FEMA money available. Yeah, but you know what's interesting about it? Elon Musk was busy being lost, beady-eyed, and in the red on X with Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, when, for the most part, they probably could have used some of his quote-unquote futuristic innovation. Right? They could have used some of his futuristic innovation in North Carolina. But he was busy trying to think about this. He's the richest man in the world, and he's concerned right now with getting a job. Think about how bizarre that is. The richest man in the world, primary concern at this moment is to get a job. Now, we know why his primary concern is to get a job, because with that job, he'll be in contact with people that can provide him expanded value chain benefits, right? He'll be able to get certain legislation. He'll be able to get certain military action in places where, you know, they might have natural resources and things that he wants. As a matter of fact, you know, one of the reasons why Elon Musk was in Bolivia was because of lithium. And, you know, they got some lithium in North Carolina and a bunch of upset people that really don't have the power to maintain their land. So it'll probably get taken by the federal government. Then it'll be able to be utilized for things that they use lithium for, semiconductors, batteries, right? Because we got this new electronic vehicle market, and the electronic vehicles use lithium ion batteries. United States has a lot of psychotic people here, right? There is a lot of psychopaths, a lot of a lot of chemically imbalanced Americans, right? You need lithium to make sure that those people don't snap, right? Even though they do snap. You know what I mean? Yeah, shout out to Carlton. Hashtag app life. Elon is living that app life. Give me a job. Right? He's an employer asking for a job. It's wild how that works. You know what I'm saying? It is because of the remarkable DHS workforce and our close collaboration with our federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, and private sector partners that we are able to meet the challenges and keep the American people safe and secure. I don't think that the DHS has kept the American people safe and secure. I think that the DHS has shown that it's extremely incompetent. I think that the DHS has shown that it's extremely incompetent. And I don't think that the DHS has shown that it's kept anyone safe at all. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me see. Hold on real quick. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't hit the bell, do me a favor. Take a moment, hit the bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. How many people heard about the moderators at that debate cutting JD Vance's mic? If you guys heard about JD Vance's mic getting cut, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. That's the only way they're gonna be able to stop the boy JD when JD get on a roll. That's the only way they're gonna be able to stop that boy JD when JD get on the roll. When JD get on the roll, man, it's an avalanche. He ain't stopping. He ain't stopping unless you cut his mic. Oh man, let's check this out real quick.
That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have.
app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created.
See how they cut JD's mic. Now, again, right? Again, it's crazy how there's just blatantly obvious one-sidedness when it comes to this thing, and it's just ignored. As much as people may have an issue with Trump or JD Vance, like, come on, man, like you can't ignore the BS. Only one side gets fact-checked. You know what I'm saying? They'll only agree to do debates on the news networks that aren't conservative. Like, what is this? Think about this, man. Think about this. How many people would watch sports if the sports team said, I'm only playing home games? Those teams would get ran out of the leagues that they were in. I'm only playing at home. I'm only playing games where I got the home court advantage. What? But you literally got political teams doing that.
That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That
Thank
is
you,
the
Senator.
facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank
our
you,
own
Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those
we have
laws
so
have been
much.
on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
That lady, man, wow. Oh man, so now we got to talk about Congo. All right, make sure if you guys haven't smashed the like button, y'all take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and also share this stream to your social media. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said they JD in a handicap match is like Shawn Michaels versus Kane, Undertaker, and Yokozuna. Right. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't mad at it because, you know what I'm saying, JD running around like Ultimate Warrior out here. I ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? JD be holding it down. I'm not a big fan of all of JD Vance's talking points and all that, but as far as doing his job does, man, he is – that dude is Trump's policy bodyguard. You know what I'm saying? He earns every moment of his paycheck. You know what I'm saying? He earns every moment of his paycheck. Somebody come after Trump, man, here comes JD, you know what I'm saying? Sharpshooting, you know what I'm saying? I'll be dying laughing, man. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says somebody pointed out that they cut JD mic, but not Walls. And that's why you could still hear JD. Right. Right. And I think Walls, he was still talking, and then I think he might have stopped talking. You know what I'm saying? And the women was just sitting up there laughing like, guys, stop fighting. Guys, stop fighting.
Just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. Nigga, Reaper keep at 1,000.
It's like, cool your jets, lady. You know what I'm saying? When nobody fighting over you. According to what they say in the media, you know what I'm saying? According to what they say in the media, they were fighting for the soul of the nation. You know what I'm saying? Fighting for the soul of the nation. You know what I'm saying? Not your soul. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, PolitiFact, they're going to say what they say, right? And the thing is that in 2024, you got to fact check the fact checkers. You got to fact check the fact checkers because the fact checkers don't keep it 1,000 like the Reaper do. If y'all agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. The fact checkers don't keep it 1,000 like the Reaper do. So we got to do our own research, and we're going to do the research, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to have fun talking about it, right? Congo, Africa, just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America. Now, I'm going to give you guys my initial take on this, right? Here's the facts. Congo released a lot of people. That's a fact. As far as brought them into the United States, I don't know how true that part is. Now, as far as do they have ease of access getting here as a result of the open border policies? Absolutely. Is there facilitation for them to be here? Absolutely. Do NGOs and cartels help them get here? Absolutely. Are the governments in these places transporting people to the United States? I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence of that. But just because I haven't seen any evidence of that doesn't mean that it's a fact. I just haven't come across any evidence of it. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to throw that out there, right? I haven't seen any evidence of it. Just because I haven't seen any evidence of it does not make it a fact. That just means that if the evidence is out there, I haven't either been presented it, I haven't discovered it, or there's been no other situation where I've come in contact with it. And as far as my exposure to this topic goes, that's where I'm at. All right. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says Trump is using a template now. Just insert whatever group and are releasing them from prisons. Let's reserve our judgment on that. Let's reserve our judgment on that. All right. So now here it says Congo, Africa just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States. Now, like I said, the part that I disagree with here is the brought them to the United States part. I don't think anybody brought anybody anywhere, right? But that they could have. I just don't know about it, right? I haven't seen any evidence that anybody got brought anywhere. So I'm gonna put it like that. No evidence for Donald Trump's claims that the Congo is releasing people from jail into the United States. Now, he didn't say that they're well, I mean, I guess you could take this and say he's releasing people from jail into the United States, but what he's saying is they're releasing people from their prisons and jails, comma, right? Act number 1, they're getting released. Act number 2, they're being brought to the United States of America. All right. This combines it all into one. No evidence for Donald Trump's claim that the Congo is releasing people from jail into the United States. However, there is evidence that the Congo is releasing people from prison. That is a fact. And they've done it multiple times. All right. So now here it says the U.S. border officials have encountered migrants from the Domestic Republic of Congo more than 2,000 times during the Biden administration. But experts on prisons or Congo said they had no evidence to back up Trump's statement about people coming from jails and prisons. Okay. A persistent theme for former President Donald Trump's false immigration rhetoric is that immigrants are pouring across the border after leaving mental institutions, jails, or prisons. He has made such claims broadly about immigrants and specifically about people from Venezuela and the why do I keep calling it the Dominican Republic of Congo? The Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, here's the thing, right? We don't need to make any claims about Venezuela. Venezuela has established an entire prison gang presence here in the United States. I think that that's evidence enough. If you guys would agree that it's evidence enough that there's an entire prison gang that's been established here in the United States that originated in Venezuela, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that that's enough evidence, then give me a thumbs down. Let me know what other evidence is necessary. The Congo has just released a lot of people from jail. Trump said on May 31st after his New York conviction for falsifying business records. Congo, Africa just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America. So again, brought them to the United States of America. I don't know why he added that part onto it, right? But if he had just left it at they released a lot of people from jail, they wouldn't have been able to hit him with this fact check. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says, unless there's a facilitation to get people from across the globe to the United States from their prisons, yeah. How much does that cost? Now, here goes the thing, right? A lot of the NGOs and UN organizations actually help with that particular effort right there. So, and then there's also the cartels. So there is a logistics system, right? But if that logistics system can be tied down to, specifically tied to the government of the place that's releasing the criminals, and a lot of times, in a lot of cases, that's kind of cloudy. It's kind of difficult to do that. You know what I'm saying? Now, it can be done in some cases, right? You know, you got China and stuff like that. But like in other cases, not so much. It's kind of difficult to make those connections, right? So now here it says, we found no evidence that Congo's government releases prisoners and sends them to the United States. We previously also could not corroborate the claim about masses of Venezuelan prisoners coming to the United States. You know, again, really? You can't prove that despite the fact that there's an entire prison gang that's now a national issue? Okay. Right? Here we'll focus on Trump's claims about people from Congo, something he's been repeating since January. Experts had no evidence to back up Trump's statement. We asked the Trump campaign if he was referring to people who crossed the border legally or illegally for his evidence that Congolese were coming from jails and prisons into the United States. Now, here's the question, right? If the people are undocumented, how do you verify the claim either way? How can you say it's either true or false? The only thing that you can say is that if these people are undocumented, then it's unknown where they came from. The only fair answer would be it's unknown. We don't have any documentation. We can't prove or disprove anything. So for this PolitiFact fact check is also not accurate by taking a definitive stance on where alleged undocumented individuals came from, because if you are an undocumented individual, your origin is not verifiable. If your origin is not verifiable, then that means that it's not verifiable in any capacity. It's not verifiable the way that you want to discuss it, and it's not verifiable in the way that other people want to discuss it. It's just unverifiable. In math, we have a term that's called X. It's a variable. It is unknown. It is the unknown. It's the part of the equation that needs to be equal on both sides of the equation for the equation to be solved. Their documentation or origin status is X, which means that it's unknown, unverifiable. Are these people coming from prisons? I don't know. Are these people coming from the Congo? I don't know. We don't know where these people are coming from. The only correct answer in any of these cases is we don't know. Until there's some secondary form of proof outside of a document, we don't know. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So because of that fact, right, and that is indeed a fact, PolitiFact is taking a partisan stance in their fact check. And their partisan stance of their fact check is to automatically discredit any claims that the right is making about the failed border security mechanisms of the Biden-Harris administration. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Spider. Black Spider says, it's dangerous to the people out here trying to stay safe when they lie and distort the truth. Big facts. I agree 100%. Absolutely. DeAndre says, and call me crazy, but I think in order to keep it anonymous, it's best they be undocumented so the administration can play dumb. It's very strategic. Facts. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with DeAndre, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%. Facts to both. You know what I'm saying? In her response, Trump campaign National Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt pointed to overall data about illegal immigration, including gotaways, a term immigration officials use for people who evade the U.S. Border Patrol detection. Border Patrol continues to apprehend special interest aliens and terror suspects at the border from countries like the Congo, China, and Afghanistan, she said. Now, I'm going to give you guys my suggestion, right? Shout out to David Brown. What's good with it, bro? If I was in charge of the border, what I would do is I would come up with lists of the countries that have the most special interest aliens coming into the United States. Undocumented migrants from those places would be placed under a more stringent scrutiny process of verification than other migrants, despite the fact that the other migrants would also have a very strict scrutiny process. The one for the special interest countries would be more, right? And if they passed all of the special interest scrutiny, they'd be allowed to remain somewhere, you know what I'm saying, and start the naturalization and citizenship process, right? They'd be able to remain somewhere, probably not in the United States. And if they did remain in the United States, it would be under house arrest, Gestapo type surveillance situations. Almost like, you know what I'm saying, like house arrest with a bracelet on. You know what I'm saying? And local law enforcement would be allowed to detain you and bring you back to a ICE detention facility if you commit a crime or did something like that. But if you're from a special interest country and if you commit a crime, those two things happen, automatic. You don't even have to go to court. Automatic deportation. Not even taking any chances with you. You're not a citizen. You don't get the same court privileges of assumed innocent, you know what I'm saying, until proven guilty. That's reserved for a citizen. At this point, you're not yet a citizen. And as somebody that has to protect citizens, I'm going to take full advantage of all of the legalities involving you not being a citizen, including expediting getting you out of here if it doesn't seem like, you know what I'm saying, things are going to work out for you. Now, at an employer, you have a probation period. Usually, you know what I'm saying, 60 to 90 days. If you call off a certain amount of times, you know what I'm saying, if you get in trouble, you get a certain amount of write-ups, you're out of there, right? You're out of there. At an employer, you have a more stringent probationary period than you have as an undocumented individual attempting to get into the United States. At an employer, you come to them, you call off twice in a 90-day period, you just started a job, you're out of there. You commit 2 crimes if you come into the United States, just go to a different state. You have to ask yourself the question, why are the quality control guidelines different in regards to quality control of immigrants versus quality control of employees? Does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. So now here it says, we found that Customs and Border Protection does not publicly release data on special interest aliens. We've also reported that U.S. immigration officials have encountered rising numbers of people on the terrorist watch list, but everyone on the list is a terrorist and not everyone is allowed to enter the country. I mean, this doesn't really help their case, right? We've found that Customs and Border Protection does not publicly release data on special interest aliens. We've also reported that U.S. immigration officials have encountered rising numbers of people on terrorist watch lists. But not everyone on the list is a terrorist, and not everyone encountered is allowed to enter the country. All right. Either way, that's still bad. They're still coming here. And the more people that come here, that increases the likelihood of those people breaking the barrier that is not really difficult to break at all and get here. And I got to agree. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, and if you are an intruder, the judicial system should treat you as such. You don't get the due process a citizen would. People not getting the due process would be another deterrent of not trying to come here as illegally. And also acting a fool once you get here while you're in process of naturalizing. That should be used as a deterrent. Here's the difference between an American versus an illegal. Now, pay attention, people. If you're coming to this country illegally, you're going to get treated like this. You're going to get bagged up and shipped out. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, that's if you come here illegally, right? This is not to be, mixed up with people that come legally. Things are set up to facilitate people coming to the country legally. Things are not set up to facilitate people coming to the country illegally. And that is where a lot of the problem lies. That's where a lot of the problem lies. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Yeah, like Blackstreet, bag it up. You know what I'm saying? We got to bag them up. Yeah, paper or plastic. You know what I'm saying? Which one you want? Y'all remember back in the day at the supermarket? Paper or plastic? So now here it says, Leave It also cited a PBS NewsHour story that said human traffickers are smuggling people from as far away as Congo, India, and China. None of these sources said that Congolese were being released from jail or prison and sent to the United States. Now, again, they're putting this all together as one sentence, right? And this is what's so important about saying things the right way. I don't think that there's a lot of evidence that shows that the government of Congo is sending these releasees, I guess you would call them, to the United States, right? But there is tons of evidence. There is tons of evidence that the Congo is releasing people from their prisons. You know what I'm saying? There's a ton of evidence. Shout out to my man J007. Make sure you guys show J007 some big love for the big bag. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, some ducks, some money bag, some membership emoji in the chat for J007. Definitely appreciate it. And J007 just fed y'all. You know what I'm saying? J007 just fed y'all because y'all know what you get for the big bag. Get your forks, get your knives, get your spoons, get your plates. It's time to eat some cat and dog.
In Springfield. So don't push me, ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians, somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels. Have you seen Garfield? Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is coughing up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. Eating the cat. It's a shame, it's a pity. Thought overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he flipping at? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat cat.
Drop that cat.
Oh man, that's hilarious. And we appreciate J007 for supporting the cause and funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Man, that is hilarious, man. That is hilarious. So now here it says the Democratic Republic of Congo is the big Congo, a former Belgian colony that has Kinshasa as its capital, and Louis Mudge, Central Africa Director at Human Rights Watch, a research and advocacy group. The Republic of Congo is the Little Congo, a former French colony that has Brazzaville as its capital. They are adjacent to each other and separated by the Congo River. The majority of the U.S. Border Patrol encounters are with people from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, so this is interesting, right? Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. There's two Congos. The Democratic Republic of Congo, a.k.a. the Big Congo, a former Belgian colony, right? And then there's the Republic of Congo. So there's the Democratic Republic of Congo and then the Republic of Congo. This is Little Congo, a former French colony that has Brazzaville as its capital. Now, for all of these people that, you know, they don't like DEI so much, why are they there? Shout out to AW1. Hey, facts. I'm just like San Quinn said, I'm just trying to get paid. I might have to make that a drop. I'm just trying to get paid. All of the people that have an issue with woke and all of the people that have issues with DEI, why are your cousins in Congo? Why are your genetic counterparts in the Congo? Why are you there? Let me ask you guys this. I think that as far as the colonization side goes, I think that European countries and Asian countries are underrepresented with black colonies. And I think that an initiative for 2100 and 2200, there should be an effort for there to be black colonies all throughout the entire world and all throughout the entire universe. Because I think that it's disproportionate. You know what I'm saying? You know, people are very concerned about a lot of disproportionate things. You know, disproportionate crime. You know, 13% of the population, you know, commits 55% of the crime. And, you know, that's a problem. Okay, I get it, right? I think that it's also a problem that, you know, I don't know, maybe like 10% of the world has about 100% of the world's colonies. Big problem if you ask me. Big problem that a lot of people ain't looking at it like that. So I think we need to do something to deal with that disparity. I think that that disparity would indirectly help the racial wealth gap. Why are there no black colonies in Asia? Why is there no black colonies in Europe? Why is it that DEI is okay when they're, you know, changing population matrix in parts of the world that they're not native to, but in parts of the world that they are native to or that they claim to be native to, when the population matrix is changed as a result of displacement in a place like here, it's an issue and we all need to cry about it and everybody needs to feel sorry for these people and they're really the ones who are actually oppressed. I don't understand that. Can somebody help me out with that? Help me understand. Remember, my IQ is low. Anybody got any answers? This is woke, by the way. If we accurately refer to these places as colonized, that's woke. Because you guys know what woke is, right? What woke is anytime you talk about the degeneracy of European countries or actions that are responsible for the condition of the world today, or responsible by proxy or partially responsible, it's woke. It's interesting because woke gets thrown around the same as like Coonan and off code does. If you talk about, you know, European accountability for destroying many parts of the world, it's woke. You can't talk about white people in that way. They didn't do anything except for make things better for the rest of us because all we used to do was run around and eat bananas with leaves over our private parts, right? If you talk about something that the monolith is doing, it's off code. It's an indictment. You're simply cooning it up for the man. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting how that works. If you ask me, there's a lot of people around the world that benefit from an ongoing system of hypocrisy that never actually aims to address issues that they claim are priority root cause issues. These issues are not brought up in order to address them. These issues are brought up to trigger and inflame particular parties on either side of the issue in order to either distract or mobilize those people and capitalize off of confusion or destructive forces. But there's never a solution in mind. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving people a solution. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what the solution is. Y'all know what the solution is. And if you're confused about the solution, join the Discord. So now here it says, in 2022, increased violence exacerbated insecurity in the Democratic Republic of Congo, internally displacing hundreds of thousands of people, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. The agency says more than 6.2 million people are displaced and 1 million have sought asylum, mostly within Africa. All right. U.S. border officials stopped people from both the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo more than 2,800 times during the Trump administration and have done so more than 3,700 times during the Biden administration. Now, the reason why they've done that so many times during the Biden administration, right, is they've done that so many times because there's so many more encounters. There's so many more encounters. You know what I'm saying? That's why they've done it so many more times during the Biden administration. So now PolitiFact is calling this false. They're calling this false. And I'm telling you the reason why they're calling this false is because they're focusing on that part about these people being brought over. Do you notice how they haven't addressed people being released from prisons yet? The reason why they haven't addressed people being released from prisons yet is because there are people being released from prisons. Like, that is actually happening. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right. So now here it says about 12,600 refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo arrived in the U.S. from fiscal years 2021 to 2022. Fiscal year 2021, which ran from October 1st of 2020 to September 30th of 2021, includes a few months of the Trump administration. The numbers of refugees from the Republic of Congo were in the single digits annually for Trump and Biden. Refugees arrive in the U.S. legally and must pass security background checks before getting let into the country. Now, again, let me ask you guys this question, right? Because we've been talking about this like crazy. What are the security checks that they make these people go through? If you don't have to show an ID, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the actual security checks? Experts on prisons or the Congo said they had no evidence to back up Trump's statement about people coming to the U.S. from the Congo's jails and prisons. Now, mind you, they're not saying that they don't have any evidence of people being released from the jails and prisons. They don't have any evidence of people coming to the United States from the jails and prisons, which, again, if you don't have any evidence of where these people came from at all, then we don't have any evidence of where these people came from at all. The answer is simply unknown. It's not, the answer is unknown. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, no one in the Republic of Congo, Brazzaville, is aware of this fact, said Abdoulaye. I don't know if that is that. I don't want to disrespect this dude's last name, but is that like Dara? I'm gonna say Dara. Dara. I don't want to say it wrong because if I say it wrong, it look like I'm gonna say diarrhea, and I'm sure that's not his last name. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll be sitting up there saying that this is a xenophobic Black American channel that's just being xenophobic because you have a problem with people from the diaspora, because we really actually are upset with certain content creators and we don't like Black Americans, but we're going to use our outrage about those certain content creators to express our anti-Black American sentiments because we're cowards and we just can't come out and say it. So to all of you people, I'm not trying to disrespect this dude. I'm trying to figure out how to use the syllables properly and say his last name. You know what I'm saying? So now it says no one in the Republic of Congo, which I think the capital here is Brazzaville, is aware of this fact, said Abdoulaye. Maybe this is Dara. All right. Abdoulaye Diarra, Amnesty International's Central Africa researcher. Mudge said, we have looked into this on the DRC side and have seen no evidence of this. Helen Fair, a World Prison Brief researcher, also said that she could not substantiate Trump's statement. I do a daily news search to keep an eye on what's going on in prisons around the world, and I haven't seen any news reports of mass release of people from prisons in the Congo. All right. So now check this out. Here we go. I do a daily news search to keep an eye on what's going on in prisons around the world. And I haven't seen any news reports of the mass release of people from prisons in Congo. All right. So, and then she says, comma, right? So she's dealing with two items. She hasn't seen any evidence of mass release of people from prisons in the Congo. And then she goes on to say, certainly not that they've been sent to prisons in the U.S. And I don't think that Trump ever made a claim that they was being sent to prisons in the U.S. But now, before we continue, she says that she searches this stuff all the time. Right? Hold on real quick. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see. I had this article up. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right. So let me see. Here we go. Look at this. Look at that right there. Now, mind you, there's more of these, right? And we're gonna look at all of them. Congo releases more than 700 inmates after a deadly stampede. At least 129 people died when inmates tried to escape from Mikala prison, where conditions are abysmal and overcrowding is a major problem. All right. Now, this article was published on September 22nd of 2024. But this is an individual that says that they this is an individual that says that they, keep track of all this stuff. Now, the thing is that this is the problem when you get into exaggerating stuff, right? You kind of have to stay on target about what's actually happening. You can't just make wild exaggerations, because when you make wild exaggerations, that's how people will then latch on to the exaggerated part of what you've said and say, see, this person is lying. Now, we're going to get into it, right? Because that's not the only instance of where the Congo has released prisoners, right? Now, let me ask y'all this. If an American prison, let's just say, for instance, like Rikers Island, just decided to let out 500 people, that would be a pretty big deal. Most people would probably look at that and kind of be concerned, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. People would probably look at that like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? It's, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go ahead and move somewhere else real quick, right? I think that would catch most people's attention, and it would catch a lot of negative attention. I don't think most people would be cool with that. That's what happened in Congo. You know what I'm saying? PolitiFact experts said that they didn't know anything about it. Joshua Z. Walker, program director at the Congo Research Group at New York University, said that beginning in late March, approximately 300 prisoners from the main prison in Kinshasa were released. But Walker said he knew of no evidence that released prisoners went to the U.S. And again, of course, there would be there's not going to be any evidence of anything because everybody's undocumented. So the only thing that we can do is we can look at what's going on in these countries and say, this happened. there's a possibility that these people might end up here. We need to be on guard to deal with if this possibility realizes itself. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Oh, man. I will take your word for it, Captain Cold-Blooded. Captain Cold-Blooded says Congo delicacy is monkey brains and mambo sauce. I don't know. I might actually rather, you know what I'm saying, eat the cats and eat the dogs than that. There was a movie, I think it was Indiana Jones in the beginning. I forget which one it was. It was either Temple of Doom or Raiders of the Lost Ark. And they was eating monkey brains with dates. Y'all remember that? They had monkey brains and dates. Now, they wasn't in an African country. You know what I'm saying? They was in one of those countries that prays facing the east. You know what I'm saying? One of the other Abrahamic people that are actually the same as the other Abrahamic people, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't say that out loud. So now here it says the Congolese government is facing an insurgency by a Rwanda-backed arms group that is occupying much of the government's attention and resources. There is no chance that it would be interested in pursuing the costly, complicated, risky endeavor of sending former prisoners to illegally enter the United States, Walker said. So here's their ruling. And of course, we know that their ruling is going to be not the same as what, you know, it's going to be opposite of what Trump says, right? Our ruling. Trump said Congo, Africa just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States. Trump's comments leave the impression that some official entity in Congo is releasing prisoners and bringing them to the U.S. We found no evidence to back that up. And I told you guys that would be the part that they would harp on. That's the part that they're going to harp on. Okay? The Trump campaign pointed to overall data on illegal immigration during Biden's administration and one news article that said human traffickers brought people from multiple countries, including Congo. There are some immigrants from the Democratic Republic of Congo in the U.S., but that doesn't mean they were part of a government-run effort to send criminals to the U.S. We rate this statement pants on fire. All right, so they rate the statement pants on fire. Now, I rate this statement as partisan, bias to the left, with a positive bias to the left and a negative bias to the right. All right. Now we're going to take a look at this right here, right? What's this say? What's that say right there? I'll make it bigger so y'all can see. What does it say right here? Over 1,500 inmates released from Democratic Republic of Congo's infamous Makala prison. All right. Now, this was written on September 25th of 2024. All right. This is an article from France 24. How much searching of the internet do these fact checkers do? How much searching of the internet do these fact checkers do if they're not able to find this? You know what I'm saying? Let's take a look. Let's take a listen to this video real quick. Let's see.
You could skip this ad, but don't skip the part that can help you get the job done. At Grainger, we're here for you with supplies and solutions for every.
Emaciated prisoners streamed out of Kinshasa's central prison after being freed. Some jumped for joy, but others were barely able to walk due to the festering.
Now, you guys hear this? All right. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. So let's check this out.
Prisoners streamed out of Kinshasa's central prison after being freed. Some jumped for joy, but others were barely able to walk due to the festering open wounds on their arms and legs. A few of the prisoners were carried out in wheelbarrows. Known informally as Makala, the prison has become a byword for inhumane detention conditions in DR Congo. But the sight of the agonized prisoners still caused a shock in the country. DR Congo's justice minister ordered the release of 1,685 ill prisoners in a televised spectacle over the weekend in a bid to tackle overcrowding. The move came after 131 inmates lost their lives in an attempted jailbreak earlier this month, when many of the victims suffocated to death in a crush.
The head of state took pity on you. Therefore, he gave me the power to free you. Do you understand? Yes, it's to enable the government action plan to be implemented. We are decongesting the prisons and rehabilitating them all.
Justice Minister Constant Mutamba had promised to reduce overcrowding in Congolese prisons almost immediately after taking office in June. Makala, which was designed in the colonial era for about 1,500 prisoners, currently holds about 12,000. The government has admitted that the overcrowding contributed to the large death toll earlier this month. According to rights groups, most of the inmates are being held in pre-trial detention. Many struggle to access food and healthcare once inside.
So, how did they miss that? How did the fact checkers miss that? Now, that was France 24, right? Not American media. An article from around the same timeline that was published by the New York Times puts out a number that's less than half of what the French article said. Okay? The French article said 1,500. Now, the New York Times says Congo releases more than 700 inmates after a deadly stampede. So now, what if we said Congo releases more than 250 inmates after a deadly stampede? That would still be true, right? What if we said Congo releases more than 150 after a deadly stampede? That would still be true, right? What if we said Congo releases more than one inmate after a deadly stampede? That would still be true, right? All of those would still be true. So what they do is they take the number, the total number, and then they'll decrease that number for the headline to make it look more favorable and say more than XYZ happened. And because it's more than and not a direct number, you can't say that it's false. So I want you guys to understand the wording games, right? Congo releases more than 700 inmates after a deadly stampede. Well, somebody might say, well, that's not true because the article from 24 France said that they released 1,500. Well, it is true. It's still true. Both of these are true. This is just being manipulated. Okay? That's why people need to pay very close attention to these kind of things. So now here it says Congo releases more than 700 inmates after a deadly stampede. At least 129 people died when inmates tried to escape from Makala prison, where conditions are abysmal and overcrowding is a major problem. Why are there so many people at this prison? And where do you guys think that these people are going once they leave here? Why are there so many people at this prison? And where are these people going once they leave? You think they're going back to Congo where they got locked up at? More than 700 inmates were released from the largest prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the country's authorities said on Saturday, as officials sought to ease overcrowding in a facility where at least 129 people died in an attempted jailbreak this month. Congo's Justice Minister, Constant Mutamba, announced their release during a visit to the Makala Central Prison, where the deadly episode highlighted the alarming conditions faced by the inmates in the only prison in Kinshasa, Congo's capital and one of Africa's most populous cities. Mr. Mutamba promised that Kinshasa would get a new prison, though he did not give details. Of the 729 inmates released, most 648 were released on bail. On the evening of September 2nd, inmates whose cells had been without water and electricity for more than a day and a half, tried to break out to escape the stifling heat, several inmates told the New York Times. And how was the New York Times just in Congo to interview these individuals? And why didn't the New York Times ask these people, well, now that you're free, what are you doing? Shout out to David Brown. He said they about to do just like Eddie Murphy. They coming to America. They about to do just like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. You know what I'm saying? And rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? James Earl Jones. They coming straight to America. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, the details remain unclear, but most of the deaths occurred in a stampede that followed, a human stampede, while at least 24 people were fatally shot while trying to escape. And then they shooting people as they try to escape, the country's authorities have said. Several female prisoners were raped, according to Human Rights Watch and Congo's interior minister. I mean, what are they doing about that? The Makala prison was built in 1957 during the era of Belgian colonial rule and little renovated since. Has a capacity of 1,500, but has at times held 10 times more than that. All right. So, you know, this is a prison that was built by European colonizers that the current government of Congo prides itself on locking more black people up inside of a prison built by Europeans. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, that should have been one of the first things to get destroyed. If where you are has been taken over by hostile entities, and those hostile entities for the most part are either no longer in power or they're gone, the first thing that you do is you destroy anything that they use to oppress the people there. You don't use it to turn around and oppress people there. You know what I'm saying? But if you ask me, there's a psychological element here. And the psychological element there is I think these people believe that it raises them to some type of status to utilize European weapons to harm other black people. And I think that that's really sick and twisted. This place should have been demolished. And honestly, like the rubble from the place should be used for like a nuclear power plant or a bathroom floor or something where there's people constantly peeing and crapping on it. Whatever the rubble is used for should be for the most ultimately disrespectful purpose. You know what I'm saying? And it should be named after the place that caused the oppression so that the people who are still around, who are the people who have benefited from that oppression, understand that now there is a hostile way of looking at these things. We don't accept this anymore. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what they did. I mean, it's not what they did. It's just interesting. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the prison's director, Joseph Yusufo Maliki, has been suspended, and dozens of inmates accused of raping female inmates during the jailbreak soon face trial. Some of the women told television channel TV5 Monday, we're going to take a look at this, hopefully they speak English, that 10 men, some of whom were armed with scissors and knives, had raped them and threatened to kill or mutilate them if they resisted. That's wild. Human rights organizations and journalists have long described conditions at Makala and other prisons in the Central African country as inhumane, overcrowded, violent, and filthy. Last year, more than 500 inmates died from suffocation and various diseases at the prison, according to Emmanuel Adu Cole, a human rights activist based in Kinshasa. Mr. Cole said that out of about 15,000 inmates, only 2,500 had been convicted. The rest were awaiting trial. So these people, for the most part, like just political prisoners. These people, for the most part, were just they were political prisoners that are being probably held. I don't know if you could say justly or not. You know what I'm saying? Most of the inmates have no reason to be held in such inhumane conditions, Mr. Cole said in a telephone interview. This cannot continue. More than 500 inmates have been released from Makala prison in August before the attempted jailbreak shed a new light on the conditions there. There is a program across the country that aims at building new prisons. Patrick Mayaya, a government spokesperson, said this month on the television channel France 24. So we try to take a look at this too. The incident that happened is going to accelerate the process that had already started. Mr. Moyaya did not provide details on how many facilities would be built, nor when they would be operational. So they're really just concerned, for the most part, with locking up their own citizens there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this let me see. Let me see something here. This don't have closed captioning on it either. Let's see. Yeah, look at this. But I mean, I think that you could get like a little bit of you could get a little detail, right? But it's not in English. All right. So we're gonna take a look at this real quick. It's TV5 Monday. All right, look at this. This looks wild, man. Like, this is crazy. Look at this.
C'est un drôle de procès qui se tient depuis une semaine à la prison centrale de Makala. À l'intérieur du pénitencier, un coin de parking a été délimité pour y installer un tribunal en plein air.
Y a-t-il moyen de faire les confronter?
Confrontés, victimes et accusés, tous détenus à Makala pour tenter de comprendre ce qui s'est passé lors de la tentative d'évasion sanglante de la nuit du 1er au 2 septembre. Ils sont une cinquantaine de prisonniers à comparaître ce jour-là pour plusieurs infractions, dont des viols massifs et collectifs perpétrés au pavillon 9 dédié aux détenues femmes, dont des mineurs. Une nuit atroce qu'elle raconte sans détour.
Après avoir fracturé l'entrée de notre pavillon, ils sont arrivés dans la pièce réservée aux enfants. Ils nous ont violés. Personne n'a été épargné, y compris les mères qui allaitent et les femmes enceintes. Ils nous ont violés et battus.
So yeah, so you know, if we had like closed captioning or whatever, you know what I'm saying, like I would play that whole thing, right? But you guys get the idea. Like that looks like one of those prisons that you would see like on a movie, man. One of them places that you do not want to get locked up at. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna take a look at this real quick. Hold on. Let me see. I think we could actually get some English here with the subtitles. Let me see. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, we can get some English subtitles popping off with this. Hold on. So let's check this out right here.
C'est l'heure du journal de l'Afrique. Soyez les bienvenus sur France 24. À la une ce soir, les interrogations qui persistent sur la tentative d'évasion à la prison de Makala en République démocratique du Congo. Les familles sans nouvelles de leurs proches ont été appelées à se rendre dans les morgues pour les identifier. Où en est l'enquête? Nous poserons entre autres.
So yeah, that's the prison, man. Like that's that Makala prison that they're talking about. Look at that. That looks crazy.
De la communication et porte-parole du gouvernement. Il est notre invité ce soir. Le président algérien Abdelmadjid Tebboune, réélu pour un deuxième mandat, il obtient un score record de près de 95% des...
All right, so there's that. Yeah, and then what ends up happening here is later on they bring on this representative, this guy right here.
Qui en conduit, mais ici il faut faire attention à des mots, à certains mots qu'on utilise, parce que lorsque vous incarnez l'État et que vous avez une prison qui est située dans un quartier populaire, qui a tentative d'évasion et que de l'intérieur on a incendié la cuisine, les dépôts pharmaceutiques et tout ce qui a été incendié, vous avez du feu, les forces de l'ordre ont l'obligation d'intervenir. Maintenant on va interroger la nature de l'intervention, mais je suis sûr, et d'ailleurs comme vous l'avez remarqué, les morts que nous déplorons le plus sont les morts par étouffement, parce qu'il y a eu étouffement.
Shout out to Patrick. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, so look, I mean, this looks terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Il y a eu bousculade et nous espérons que très vite
And then the thing that's crazy about this, like, this looks like a horrible, deplorable prison, right? And they said that the majority of the people that are there, the majority of the people that are there are they're awaiting trial. Like, this ain't even no prison. This is like the county, you know what I'm saying? Like, they awaiting trial.
Pourra nous permettre de comprendre toutes ces circonstances.
Et on la suivra de très près, cette enquête. Un autre dossier d'actualité pour la République démocratique du Congo, l'épidémie de Mpox. Alors, il y a 200 000 doses qui sont arrivées, de vaccins qui sont arrivées en RDC très récemment.
So yeah, as you guys can see, you know, it's pretty bad there, right? It's pretty bad there. So, you know, let me see. Hold on real quick. So we're going to take a look at another article, right? And again, this is what the fact checkers should be doing. Thousands of ill inmates released from Congo's main prison to ease overcrowding. September 23rd of 2024, right? So you keep getting these numbers. You get thousands, and then you get 600. See? It's thousands, then 600. So, you know, if there's thousands plus 600, then at the very least, we can just use a round estimate and say at the very least 2,000. So now here's my question. Does anybody know where these 2,000 people are today? Where are these 2,000 people at? If we don't know where these 2,000 people are at, can we say definitively that they're not in the United States? We can't say that they are or that they aren't, right? Thousands of ill inmates released from Congo's main prison to ease overcrowding. All right. Nearly 1,700 ill inmates were released Monday from Congo's largest prison, the Minister of Justice said, as part of an effort to thin out the country's overcrowded prisons. So they are releasing people from prisons. It's clear, right? There's an effort to release people from prison. There's an effort to ease overcrowding. And if they don't have additional prison facilities, which we know that they don't, then the only way to decrease the number of people in the prisons is to release them, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. The operation took place at Mekela Central Prison in the capital, Kinshasa, on Monday afternoon. Severely ill prisoners received immediate medical care, while others were sent home on buses provided by the Ministry of Justice and a state-owned company, Minister of Justice consultant Mutamba said. Mekela Prison, Congo's largest penitentiary with a capacity for 1,500 people, holds more than 12,000 inmates, most of whom are awaiting trial, Amnesty International said in the latest country report. That's a huge issue, right? Why hasn't it that now? If that's not a human rights issue, I don't know what is. Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with that. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick says they be saying Trump lying, but a lot of stuff that he said in the past has turned out to be true. Yeah, it has. It has. Now, here's the issue, right? This prison, Mekela Prison, is only built to hold 1,500 people. They got 12,000 people in there. So, what does that mean? I'm going to tell y'all what it means. What is 12,000 divided by 1,500? 12,000 divided by 1,500 is 8. What this means is that this prison is operating at 8 times the capacity. The prison is operating at 8 times the capacity. So here's what 8 times the capacity looks like. Imagine if you have a home with 3 bedrooms in it, right? You got a family that has 4 people in it. 2 siblings, mom and a dad, right? That's 4 people. So that house with 3 bedrooms is made for 4 people. 4 times 8 is 32, right? That's like living in a 3-bedroom house with 32 people. Let me ask y'all this. How comfortable would you be living in a 4-bedroom house with 32 people? Would that be comfortable, or would you be you on the first boat out of there? Yeah, and shout out to Patrick. That's what they were saying. Patrick said these countries be lawless and don't be having the money to build prisons. Yeah, that politician, whoever that guy is that's running the country, he said we will be building another prison, yet there's not another prison and there's no plans to build one. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says earlier this month, an attempted jailbreak at the prison left 129 people dead, including some who were shot by guards and soldiers and others who died in a stampede at the overcrowded facility, according to authorities. Emmanuel Adu Cole, a prominent prison rights activist in Congo and president of the local Bill Clinton Peace Foundation, put the death toll at more than 200. I don't know if I trust no Bill Clinton Peace Foundation, right? How many of y'all trust the Bill Clinton Peace Foundation? If you guys trust the Bill Clinton Peace Foundation, give me a thumbs up. If you're kind of weary about the Bill Clinton Peace Foundation, give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? Inmates had increasingly grown frustrated with the poor conditions in the facility, including inadequate beds, poor feeding, and poor sanitation. However, authorities failed to act despite warnings, said Cole, whose foundation has visited the prison in the past. The foundation is probably responsible for a bunch of people being put there, too. You know what I'm saying? The foundation is probably responsible for a bunch of people being put there, too, right? Stanis Bujerka Tishmala, hopefully I'm saying that right, a prominent Congolese journalist who was recently detained in the prison for months, spoke of its deplorable and inhumane condition and how inmates constantly lack food, water, and care. Nearly 700 women and hundreds of minors who are treated in the same way as adults are among the inmates, he said. So again, you got to ask yourself the question, you know, if the UN and all that, if they care so much, right? Why is the UN not involved in getting this place cleaned up? I'll tell you why, because they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. You know what I'm saying? The only people that are going to clean that place up, or the only people that actually have a chance to fix anything or are going to be the people that clean that place up, is the people that are there, the people that are from there. They got to do it. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 25 people watching. We got 24 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. Let's try to get us to 50. And shout out to everybody who is here, because we are on the 1-to-1. So make sure you guys throw some 100s in the chat. I definitely appreciate you guys. Shout out to Cameron. What's good with you, bro? So now here it says, last week, Minister of Justice Mutomba announced the release of 600 inmates, including around 10 minors, and ordered prison authorities to examine the cases of all minors and organize more releases. There are about 300 minors at Makala prison, according to the prison deputy directors. Now, let me ask you guys this question. They got these minors locked up with these adult hardened criminals. What do you guys think is going on there? Nothing good, right? Nothing good. Mutomba said there are plans for the construction of a new prison in Kinshasa without giving more details. What that basically means is don't hold your breath waiting for a new prison. It ain't happening. Now, again, as these people are released, right? Do you guys think that they're going to stick around in Congo where they were locked up before? What's the likelihood that they're going to stay in Congo? If this applied to you guys, right? If you all were part of these people that got released, would you stay in Congo? I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I don't care what anybody says on social media or what type of roasting or whatever anybody thinks. Hey, listen, until you've broken out of a prison, I don't want you to tell me about my response to being locked up by a corrupt government. If I've been sentenced to those deplorable conditions by an entire military and you somehow expect me to be Rambo or RoboCop and deal with that on my own, and me not dealing with the entire government is just me not getting it popping because I'm some type of coward. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I want to sit there and I want to watch you stop Ron DeSantis from saying anything anti-black. And once you've done that, I'll take all of your criticism, you know what I'm saying, to heart. Until somebody do that, man, listen, man, if I've been there, you know what I'm saying, in them conditions, you got me bent. I'm out, as far out as I could go, too. I'm not sticking around for none of it. None of that mess. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you guys this question, right? Because we saw this, right? So we're going to ask this question. How would somebody get the Congo popping from prison? How would that happen? You see, it was they tried to break out of jail, right? So Congo frees 600 inmates at the main prison in a bid to ease overcrowding, right? And what ended up happening was that there was a stampede because all these people tried to bounce, right? See, earlier this month, an attempted jailbreak left 129 people dead. Now, here in the United States, we got a lot of brothers and sisters locked up disproportionately in prisons, right? Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. My question is, how many attempted jailbreaks have they done to try to get it popping to get out of jail because they locked up unjustly? So my question is, like, this whole issue of quote unquote what people have done versus what people haven't done to quote unquote get it popping, respective to the places where they at. What is the standard on that? Like, how does that work? What consists of quote unquote getting it popping? Because I would say trying to break out of jail, that's pretty popping. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty popping. That's a lot more popping than Twitter Spaces. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people actually got popped in the process of that, right? Same thing with Haiti, right? Barbecue. You know what I'm saying? They trying to get it together to where there's a government that the people want over there, not one that's installed by the United States or by the West, right? I would say barbecue kind of getting it popping over there, right? So when it comes to this whole quote unquote idea of what should be judged as like what's getting it popping versus quote unquote what's not, what's getting it popping? What's the extent of getting it popping? What's the standards on that? I don't understand what this whole idea of getting it quote unquote popping, where's the cutoff of that? I think that's a question that people should ask, because somebody will just say, well, you know, these people from the Congo left because they couldn't quote unquote get it popping. Now they got it popping to the point where they did a prison break, and as a result of this prison break, some of these people got released. That's pretty popping. When has that happened here in the United States? Right? So again, my thing is, like, with a lot of these talking points, okay, where's the standard on the talking points of what the cutoff is versus what the cutoff is not? I don't think that ever gets tested. And I think that it should. Because if you ask me, people should have to be consistent and the logic should always have to be there. And the logic should be standardized and it should apply across the board in every situation. I'm just saying. To me, a prison break that causes the government to release a lot of prisoners, that's pretty popping. That's pretty damn popping. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if there's really, I don't know if that can be said to not be popping. That's pretty damn popping. But it's not a popular talking point. YouTube, facts don't have to be facts, right? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Congo frees 600 inmates at the main prison in a bid to ease overcrowding. So again, this goes back to the original point, right? The alleged political fact checkers, they held on to the one point, right? The point where Trump said these governments are sending people here, right? Which, I mean, if you stretched it all the way, if you made a wild stretch, you could say by simply releasing them and America having the open borders that it has, that's them sending them to America because America's not going to turn them away. You could make that argument. It would be difficult, right? But you could make that argument. But they're going to be a lot more specific because they're automatically looking to try to paint Trump as a liar, which again, this is not something that he's lying about. They are indeed releasing people from these prisons all around the world. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. What's good with you, bro? Shout out to Hood Conservative and shout out to Lady D. What's going on with y'all? Right? So notice how they won't, none of this is being discussed. They won't talk about any of this, right? Authorities in the Congo said they released 600 prisoners. And again, this is in addition to the 1,500 that were released earlier. And again, this prison is operating at 8 times the capacity. 8 times the capacity. The capacity for this prison is only 1,500 people. They are operating with over 12,000 inmates. And they want to ease overcrowding. Okay, well, if you're easing overcrowding and there's no other prisons there, the way to ease overcrowding is you're releasing prisoners. You're not rerouting them. You're not transporting them anywhere else, which technically, if you're releasing them, you're transporting them outside of the prison and then they go where they end up going, the human diffusion, right? Yeah, and the prison where they had the zoo, that was the Venezuelan one that they said, you know, there's no prisoners from Venezuela coming to the United States, and then a magical prison group appears, right? A magical prison gang appears, right? So now here it says authorities in Congo said they released 600 prisoners in the country's main prison on Saturday as part of a process aimed at decongesting the overcrowded prisons. Justice Minister Constant Mutomba announced the move during a ceremony at the Makala Central Prison in Congo's Kinshasa. All right. There are plans for construction of a new prison in Kinshasa, he said, without giving more details. And yet there is no new there is no new prison there. There's no new prison there. Why do you guys think that there's no new prison there? Probably because there's no plans of building one, right? There's not going to be, newsflash, there's not going to be a new prison. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be one. Makala Prison, Congo's largest penitentiary with a capacity for 1,500 people, holds more than 12,000 inmates, most of whom are awaiting trial, Amnesty International said in its latest country report. So now this is this is bad. Most of these people aren't even convicted. So it's not even known if these people are guilty of a crime or not. You know what I'm saying? Earlier this month, an attempted jailbreak into prison left 129 people dead, including some who were shot by guards and soldiers and others who died in a stampede at the overcrowded facility, according to authorities. All right. So for the most part, this article from Associated Press is about the same as the article from the New York Times that we read, right? It's about the same as the article from the New York Times that we read. Now, there was an article that came out recently, right? And guess what? Protesters in Congo are calling for the release of more prisoners. Protesters in Congo call for the release of political prisoners, including 3 top opposition figures. Let me ask you guys this question. Are they going to release these people? If they're going to release these people, give me a thumbs up. If they're not going to release these people, give me a thumbs down. I don't know if they're going to release these people or not. They might. and if they do release them, where they coming? You know, they coming straight to they coming straight to the United States. They coming straight to the United States. So now here it says hundreds protested in front of Congo's top court Wednesday to demand the release of political prisoners, including the country's 3 most prominent opposition figures imprisoned on charges the opposition says are politically motivated. Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Central African country, which has a history riddled with political turmoil, was reelected in December with results questioned by the opposition. That kind of sounds like the United States. Hey, look, the United States is starting to not sound very different than a lot of these different places, right? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, is that the country we tried to overthrow? No. What was the name of that country? I can't think of the name of it. It wasn't that country, though. Shout out to AB Promotions in Brooklyn, Queen, be into geopolitics. I bet you they know. Oh man, I can't think of the name of it. I think it was a country that had like two names. Burkina Faso, but Burkina Faso, something like that. Let me know if y'all figure it out in the comments. I think it was like Burkina Faso or something like that. But don't quote me. I could be like, I've been known to be way off. You know what I'm saying? I could be way off. So now here it says he has spent much of his time in office trying to gain legitimacy after a disputed 2018 election, while struggling to quell violence in the country's east to the disgruntlement of many. Protesters in the capital, Kinshasa, held banners that read, "Release political prisoners," with some chanting, Tshisekedi, you have killed our country. Others barricaded and occupied the court's entrance. After the protest ended, representatives of several opposition parties handed the Minister of Justice a statement that accused Tshisekedi of trying to muzzle the opponents and to silence dissenting voices. Now, again, this whole thing about silencing dissenting voices, this happens all over the place. We see this all over. This is a result of human behavior. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. They try to silence dissenting voices all over the place. And the silencing of these dissenting voices always come from these people that claim, well, we can agree to disagree. Some people can, but most people can't. And usually it's the people that say we can agree to disagree who violently don't follow that mantra. They don't agree to disagree. They will agree to disagree temporarily until they're able to permanently disable your ability to speak. And we see it going on here. They do that in the United States. Both political parties. Both political parties are anti-free speech. Both political parties are pro-censorship. We came to see the Minister of Justice to tell him that it is not normal that in a state governed by the rule of law, there are political prisoners who are imprisoned unjustly. Fiston Myers, a member of the main opposition party Together for the Republic, told the Associated Press. The parties called for the release of Jean-Marc Kabund, leader of the Alliance for Change Party, Mike Mukbeye, a former member of the provincial parliament for Together for the Republic, and Seth Kikuni, a candidate in the presidential elections last year. Kabund and Mukbeye were arrested last year for insulting the head of state and spreading false rumors. Could you imagine? Look at what they got arrested for. They got arrested for insulting the head of state and spreading false rumors. Listen, if it was up to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they'd do that. If it was up to Trump and DeSantis, they would do that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. But they're not able to do that right now in the United States. But they're working towards it, though. Both parties are working together to progress towards being able to basically sharpshoot opposition. We can definitely look at the amount of American citizens deleted by military drone strikes as an indicator of that fact. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Kabund was sentenced to 7 years in prison after he accused the president of corruption and embezzlement. And again, the president really made his case by locking up somebody that accused him of wrongdoing instead of just proving that he didn't do anything wrong, right? While Mukbeye is currently in prison awaiting trial, and he's never going to get a trial. What these people do at these prisons that are really corrupt like this is they put you in these prisons and they throw away the key and basically lose track of all of your records. Nobody knows why you're in prison. You're just in prison, and you die there with a dusty pair of sandals on. You die there with a dusty pair of sandals on, and they wait you out, and you never end up getting a trial. That's why one thing that the United States has on paper that's right in comparison to these places like this is a quote-unquote speedy trial. Not having a speedy trial is a way where you can unofficially never try somebody for a crime, but for the most part, keep them on ice as long as you want to keep them on ice. Russia actually did that with their prison that they have in Siberia with an individual that ended up passing away earlier this year. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says both are held at the notorious Makala Central Prison, Congo's largest penitentiary, which has a capacity for 1,500 people, but holds more than 12,000 inmates. And again, this is 8 times the capacity, right? Most of whom are awaiting trial. Amnesty International said in its latest country report earlier this month, an attempted jailbreak at the prison left 129 people dead. Again, so this is them getting it popping. I mean, we got to examine that whole quote unquote getting it popping terminology. If you're in prison, to get out of prison, you have to break out of prison. That to me satisfies getting it popping. But one of these individuals, you know, they'll be told that they didn't get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in places like this, getting it popping is what actually it lands you over here in the United States. But that's a story that's not told because, you know what I'm saying? The monolith got to stick to script no matter what, regardless if it's right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says habeas corpus is gone. Yeah, facts. Shout out to AB. AB said, I don't want to die with a dusty pair of sandals, bro. I don't think anybody want to die like that. I don't think anybody want to die with a dusty pair of sandals on. With a dusty pair of sandals in an Obi-Wan Kenobi robe, an orange Obi-Wan Kenobi robe. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way. All right. So for the most part, I wouldn't agree with those fact checkers. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't agree with those fact checkers. I would say that Trump phrased what he was trying to say very awkwardly and not very effectively, not very efficient. But as far as to say, is what he's saying false? I wouldn't say that it's false. I would definitely say that there's some truth to it. Right now, I would also specify what parts I felt were not true versus what parts I feel are true. Right. I feel that it's not true to say that they're quote unquote sending people to the United States. Right. However, it is true that they're releasing prisoners. Mind you, the fact check said that both parts were false. And again, as far as dealing with quote unquote undocumented people, any event where you're dealing with undocumented people, the most accurate thing that you can say is unknown origin. That's it. Where are you from? Unknown origin. That's it. And that's a result of United States border policy. So now this is an article, right? This is from before. Remember those articles that we just read? Those were from September of 2024. This article here is from March 16th of 2024. All right. So this is way before those most recent articles came out. So they're saying everything he's saying isn't true. Congolese governments denounce Trump's baseless stories about emptied prisons. And again, okay, so here's the thing, right? How do you empty a prison that's at 8 times the capacity? Check this out. Listen, if the prison capacity is 1,500 prisoners and they released 1,700 prisoners, technically, for the capacity of what the prison is supposed to be, he's emptied the prison. The prison is emptied. Every 1,500 people that come out of the prison is a prison emptying because it's operating 8 times of capacity. Now, notice they don't say anything about the prison operating over capacity in the headline. Why? Because the headline is meant to be misleading. If you guys would agree that the headline is meant to be misleading, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree and you do not feel that the headline is meant to be misleading, then give me a thumbs down. The headline's meant to be misleading. And of course, the headline is meant to be misleading because this is CNN and CNN cannot report objective news. So because CNN cannot report objective news, everything that Trump says has to be bad. Everything that Trump says has to be wrong. Newsflash, it's not. Newsflash, a lot of times, Trump is right. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? So remember the time frame, right? Because when it comes to, talking about these kind of things, it's real important to make sure that we keep the time frames straightened out. Okay? When it comes to this particular time frame, this is March of 2024. The last articles that we read about the release of prisoners was in September. All right. So now here it says there is no evidence for former President Donald Trump's repeated claims that the Congo has emptied prisons to allow violent criminals to come to the United States border as migrants, and the governments of both the Democratic Republic of Congo and the neighboring Republic of Congo say Trump's assertions are entirely false. It's not entirely false. It's not entirely false. Now, as far as them saying empty the prisons, again, if we look at the prison being built for 1,500 people, every 1,500 people being released is technically an emptying of the prison. Technically, right? You could get away with that. You could win that argument. So every group of 1,500 people at a prison that has the capacity of 1,500 technically is a prison emptying. Now, mind you, the prison is 8 times capacity, so there's 12,000 prisoners in a prison that's built for 1,500 people, which is, of course, the math of that is not being explained properly here. And, of course, the math of that is not being explained properly here in order to mislead the reader. But these are things that can be said. These are definitely things that can be said. So now notice, right? It says everything he's saying isn't true. Now, they also don't talk about what they say that is true, right? Because if everything that he says isn't true, that also means that everything that he's saying isn't false. Right? So what's the part that isn't false? Oh, well, we're not going to talk about that part. Why are we not going to talk about that part? We're not going to talk about that part. We're not going to talk about that part. We're not going to give that part any air, opportunity, or discussion. Right? So now everything he says isn't true. Democratic Republic of Congo spokesperson Patrick Mayayaya Katimbi told CNN in a text message on Thursday. Asked, and it was probably on WhatsApp, asked specifically about Trump's claim about Congolese prisons being, quote unquote, emptied of violent criminals. He said, never, ever. It's not true. And he said, we want him to stop telling these stories since it's very bad for the country. Now, that's another avenue of this that I didn't think of. As far as Trump saying, quote unquote, violent criminals, right? That's an exaggeration, because if the majority of these people haven't been tried for crimes yet, they haven't been found guilty of anything. So by American standards, those people wouldn't be criminals, right? But we don't have to treat these people with American standards because they're not American, right? So now here it says, Sergei Mambuli, the Republic of Congo's ambassador for the U.S., sent an email to CNN on Friday, and it says there is no truth or any sign nor a single fact supporting such a claim or statement. A CNN fact check found the same. Now, again, let me ask you guys this. Why are the fact checks so predictable? Why are the fact checks so predictable? If one person makes a claim, we already know what the fact checkers are going to say. If another person makes a claim, we know what the fact checkers are going to say. It's almost like the fact checks are never actually based on what's stated. The fact checks are based on who makes the statements. The fact checks are based on who makes the statements. If Trump said something, we're going to do everything we can to dissect it and somehow find a way to make it misinformation. If Kamala Harris said it and it's false, well, somehow it must have been a slip up, or there was these factors that got rearranged. Somehow there's either an excuse for her lying, or the lie is somehow made to be true. And I got to agree with Cameron. Shout out to Cameron. If you guys agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Cameron, give me a thumbs down. Cameron says fact checkers are controlled by sponsors and their opinions. Facts. Yeah. I agree. And if you ask me, it's clear. And again, another thing that's interesting, right? And they do this on both sides. Republican conservative media uses Rupert Murdoch, right, media outlets as fact checks. They also use right-wing social media content as fact checks. On the left, they use the Democrat media Hollywood sports complex as a fact check, as well as Democrat digital media, right, like the New York Times and the Washington Post as their fact checks. when all of these things are all the same? You know what I'm saying? Like when I watch Fox News and they use New York Post or they use the Wall Street Journal, we're going to cite our information from here. That's literally like having a book and in the book saying, I'm going to cite page 1 and 2 as my sources. You need to have outside contributing sources. You know what I'm saying? But most people don't dive that deep, right? So according to this CNN fact check, of course, they're going to say Trump's claims are baseless. And again, we've already disproven that the claims are baseless. The claims have a lot of base. You know what I'm saying? The claims got 808 kick drums, right? Experts on the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo, plus both pro-immigration and anti-immigration organizations in the U.S., told CNN they have not seen any evidence of Congolese prisons being emptied. And again, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. If the prison capacity is 1,500 and you're emptying out 1,500 people at a time, that's an emptying. That's an emptying. We're talking about overcrowded facilities. You know what I'm saying? Trump's presidential campaign and an allied super PAC did not respond to requests to provide any evidence. A CNN search of 2 media databases turned up no evidence, and all they searched was 2 media databases. And federal figures show that there is no very big influx of Congolese migrants of any kind, let alone former prisoners in particular. Trump and the presumptive Republican presidential nominee keep making claims about emptied Congolese prisons as he criticizes President Joe Biden's handling of immigration. For example, Trump said during a Fox News town hall in late February, "We have people coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from the Congo. They interviewed some people last night. Where are you from? Congo. Where did you live? Prison. They're emptying out their prisons into our country." Where did you live? Prison. That's crazy, man. That's wild. You know what I'm saying? That is wild. So this is interesting. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, we might actually have to take a look at this. We might actually have to take a look at this. Let's see, hold on real quick. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right, so now here it says, during a visit to the border later in February, Trump said the Congo, a very big population coming in from jails from the Congo. You look at the jails now, you take a look at the jails throughout the region, but more importantly, throughout the world. They're emptying out because they're dumping them into the United States. But media databases contain no corroboration for these stories, and human rights organizations that monitor the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Republic of Congo say they know of no evidence for them. I've not heard anything about emptying of Congolese prisons. So, you know, when they're talking about the emptying of these prisons, they're talking about the release of a lot of these people coming from the prisons, right? Like, this is intellectual dishonesty at its height. If you guys would agree, this is intellectual dishonesty at its height. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs up. This is intellectual dishonesty. You know what I'm saying? This is intellectual dishonesty. All right. So most of what they say here is the same stuff that they used in the PolitiFact fact check, except for the fact that this took place prior to the emptying, not the emptying, but the release of 1,500, right, sick, ill prisoners from these Congolese prisons and 600 people as a result of the stampede, right? And now we just saw there's a political sentiment growing in Congo for more releases of prisoners, right? Shout out to the specialist. What's good with it, bro? All right. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how cartels and NGOs are fueling the United States border crisis. All right. And this is along the lines of what Patrick was talking about, right? This is along the lines of what Patrick was talking about as far as or I'm sorry, not Patrick, but DeAndre. This is what DeAndre was talking about as far as the logistics of people getting here. All right. So let's take a look at this. This is a video from the Center for Immigration Studies. All right. Because you know what they say, you know what I'm saying? Like, our IQs are low and we don't use facts. We don't process facts. We don't discuss things coherently. So, you know.
You are seeing the most well-oiled, industrialized human smuggling assembly line machine anywhere on the planet. It roars all day and night, far beyond American awareness. In and around this far northwest Colombia village named Capugana. As far away as it is, this people-moving machine in northwestern Colombia matters to the American public because it has mainlined nearly 2 million foreign nationals, like these the last few years, into American cities.
Now, again, look, we got to ask this question, and let me know what you guys think. Why are NGOs facilitating logistic directions of people movement that are contributing to the United States southern and northern border crisis? If you ask me, these non-government organizations that are doing this, knowing that we have a problem with our borders, north and south, they should be being prosecuted for aiding and abetting. Massive violation of United States law. But these organizations are not prosecuted. The right and the left does not look to prosecute these organizations. And the reason why the right and the left does not look to prosecute a lot of these organizations is because in one instance, for the media's purposes, they will call them a non-government organization that's facilitating, aiding, and abetting illegal border crossing. But in the next instant, they will be heavy campaign donors. So because there will be heavy campaign donors in the next instant, got to kind of watch what we say about them because we're phony. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
But also ones like these, including hundreds on the U.S. terrorism watch list and criminal aliens among total strangers from 150 nations like China. Boatload by boatload across the Gulf of Urabá and into the famous Darien Gap migration choke point.
Now, look, I want you guys, let's go back here, right? Do you guys see the Wi-Fi? Do you guys see the free Wi-Fi sign back there? If you guys can see the free Wi-Fi sign back there, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't see the free Wi-Fi sign back there, give me a thumbs up. They got free Wi-Fi for them. You know what I'm saying? So they kicking it. They chilling. They having a good time. You know what I'm saying?
By boatload across the Gulf of Urabá and into the famous Darien Gap migration choke point to Panama and on to the U.S. southern border. They arrive on buses and taxis in towns on one side of the Gulf and then boat across to towns on the other side and head into the Darien Gap, a flow that carries suspected terrorists like these Afghans Panama recently discovered and pulled off the trails on its side, or like this Somali terrorist a few years ago, and Chinese nationals and strangers from every nation adversarial to the United States. At issue is none of this should be happening right now on the Gap's Colombia side, but the machine is running just as strong today as it was before a new regional deal where Panama and Colombia are supposed to close the Darien Gap for the first time ever. On July 1, 2024, the new president of Panama, Jose Raul Mulino, with the supposed essential backing of the Biden-Harris White House and Colombia, launched an unprecedented new policy to choke off the Darien Gap, which with any actual follow-through would dramatically improve U.S. national and border security. The plan relied heavily on Colombia's partnership and a signed American agreement July 1 to support that closure plan financially and diplomatically. But the Center for Immigration Studies went to Colombia to gauge how it was all working out and found, instead of closure on the Colombia side, a stunning reality. A tight-knit partnership between a paramilitary organization called the Gaitanist Self-Defense Force of Colombia, also known as the Clan del Golfo, that with an iron fist rules all that goes on in this region, and the Colombian government, banks, United Nations, and a wide assortment of non-governmental migration advocacy groups. Together, the legitimate and illegitimate run a vast human smuggling machine that pumps humanity to the American border.
Now, I want to ask you guys this question. How many people knew about this? If you all knew about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know about this, give me a thumbs down. And again, this is one of the reasons why the mainstream media is not really talking about this. A lot of these non-government organizations that they're talking about here, a lot of these people are the donors. A lot of these people are the donors. You know what I'm saying? Now, go back and look at this. Look at this. Look at all of the different symbols that you see here.
And the Colombian government, banks, United Nations, and a wide assortment of non-governmental migration advocacy groups.
Look at that right there. What? Look. Look. Y'all see it? Look at that. Look at that thing right there. Look at that thing right there. They get a lot of money too. They got a lot of money too. Got a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says it's way too efficient to be a mistake. Absolutely. It's absolutely not a mistake. Facts. I agree. Interestingly enough, none of this was discussed on either side in the presidential or vice presidential debates. My question for you guys is, why do you all think that a lot of this stuff was not discussed in the presidential or the vice presidential debates? Yeah, shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug, the nanos. Facts. Sombreritos, nano hats. You know what I'm saying? Picking them little derbies up with a tweezer. Right?
Together, the legitimate and illegitimate run a vast human smuggling machine that pumps humanity to the American border, unimpeded, profitably, and wittingly for all involved. It all starts with the Gaitanistas, the Clan del Golfo, so named for its control of the Uraba Gulf smuggling lanes to the Panamanian border and dozens of towns and villages that line the Gulf of Uraba. In 2023, top U.S. law enforcement officials announcing the extradition of a top Klan leader to New York State.
Now, you don't hear about this very often, right? Former leader of Clan del Golfo drug trafficking organization sentenced to 45 years in prison for operating a continuing criminal enterprise. Clan del Golfo. Now, let me ask y'all this. How many people have heard of this organization called Clan del Golfo? If you guys have heard of them, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard of them, give me a thumbs down. They will definitely be on the radar, you know what I'm saying? And we will definitely be paying very close attention to what they do and how they're doing it and what it is that they're doing and why it is that they're doing it, right? But they didn't make a big deal out of this when this leader, they don't even put his name up here, was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Okay?
Described the paramilitary group as the most violent and powerful criminal organization in all of Colombia.
To commit brutal acts of violence, terror, and retaliation. To exert control over vast territorial regions of Colombia and its people. And the CDG used military tactics and weapons to control the most lucrative cocaine trafficking region within Colombia. His paramilitary organization, thousands of soldiers, including sicarios or hitmen as they're called, murdered, assaulted, kidnapped, and tortured, and assassinated.
In Panama recently, the Director General of the country's National Border Service, CINAFRON, explained to the center that a major diplomatic push was underway to get Colombia on board with its Darien Gap closure plan, which includes going after the Gaitanista Gulf Clan. 2 months into the Panama shutdown plan, no impact was evident on the Colombia side. In fact, quite the opposite. The Center for Immigration Studies went to look and found the Gulf Clan so proud of its humming machine that it granted access to a clandestine boat dock and one of 2 camps in Akandi.
This is a primary staging area for people that are heading into the Darien Gap, into Panama. Behind me, this is the dock. And behind me, you're seeing immigrants that are actually unloading right now as we speak on their way to the trailheads. The trailheads are probably still a good, 20 or 30 miles from here. There is a process in place, very organized process, because so many hundreds of thousands of people have come through here over the past few years to take advantage of Joe Biden's policy of creating kind of a super highway out of the Darien Gap. Very organized activity.
Now, listen, when we talked about the Darien Gap and what was going on over there earlier in the year, right? They were trying to make it seem like they were doing so much to try to shut down the Darien Gap, or they were trying to do so much to quote unquote limit activity or limit commerce or travel along the Darien Gap, right? But as we can see, that clearly hasn't happened. Now, check this out. I'm gonna put this in the chat. I'm gonna put this old article about Clan del Golfo in the chat. All right. All right, let me see. Look. Clan del Golfo. They have a criminal network that stretches across 26 countries. All right. And now, mind you, when they did this, when they were talking about, or 28 countries, this was in November of 2021 when they had this network. So my question for you guys is, why do we not hear about the Clan del Golfo network currently up until today? Let me know what you guys think.
You've got their equipment for traveling in the gap has already arrived by an earlier boat. They'll be matched with their tickets up there. They'll be matched with... Okay, another boat has just come in. Just a nonstop assembly line. People coming, people going. Very well organized. The town assembly has an organized conveyor belt assembly line labor force. There's also police who are overseeing this operation, and you can see, welcome signs, and there are migrant camps, very well oiled.
And the center found marital bliss between the Klan, the Colombian government, and even banks.
They're loading up here. They'll be going to the camp number 1.
With permitted access in Akandi, the center toured a Gulf Clan-controlled migrant camp, though no filming was allowed inside. Operatives controlled access to the perimeter. So who was allowed inside? Colombian banks and Western Union provide.
Now, again, why is it that the financial interests are the only people allowed inside? Right? The financial interests are the people that are allowed inside, but they, they didn't really let anybody else in. They didn't let anybody else in. Why would they not let anybody else in?
Providing money wiring service.
So here we got the Western Union. It's right in the spot that's between the 2 docks. Western Union.
Non-profit groups providing food, medicine.
You gave out all your supplies.
Today I'll be finishing because this is all there is left. These granola bars.
And all manner of assistance to immigrants arriving and departing for obvious trips into the nearby Darien Gap. At the Klan-controlled ferry boat docks in Necoclí and Turbo, where migrants board. For instance, Colombia federal migration officers check papers and let obvious immigrants board Klan-controlled ferries over to staging areas. Municipal officials charge a toll tax on each and every migrant before they can board. All worked openly together for the common interest aim of moving mass volumes of totally obvious migrants that everyone involved well knows will illegally breach the next 6 nations and then the American border. In and around the UN and NGOs, Gulf cartel operatives charge immigrants as much as $300 per head cash for permission to buy a ferry ticket and cross the Gulf.
So you can pay $350 to who? To some
One of the mafia people.
Are they at the bus station?
Yeah, bus will come here to the station.
Then hundreds more for a guide once they arrive in towns like.
Shout out to Crew Reality. What's good with it, bro? Crew Reality says, B1 fam, this is insanity. Where is the alphabet mob to do what they do the best? Unless. Right. You know, the alphabet mob, you know, they're kind of along the same political direction as a lot of this stuff. The fake alphabet mob, right? Because you guys know my theory about the alphabet mob, right? My theory about the alphabet mob is the outspoken political alphabet mob. Those are actually straight presenting people who are embarrassed of their sexual realities and want to force acceptance of their discomfort with their own with their own identities onto the rest of the world. Because people who are legitimate, they really don't care what anybody else is thinking. They're going to be legitimate. And like every other normal person, they're not advertising what they do in the bedroom to other people. It's only people that are high profile who want to present a certain way to the world, right? They want to present a certain way to the world, and they don't want to have to deal with the consequences of backlash when that presentation doesn't match reality. So they want to kind of soften everybody up for the blow. Pause. Right. So if you ask me, as far as that, there's two different legitimates, right? There's what I would consider, quote unquote, the real legitimate, which those are the people that are legitimate, have been legitimate, and enjoying their life, right? Versus the fake legitimate, which is, you know, the Diddies of the world and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Crew Reality. Crew says, I meant the government. Oh, the government alphabet. Okay. That operate in the foreign countries, allegedly. Yeah, and the government alphabet that not only operate in foreign countries, but they operate in these foreign countries under different identities, right? A lot of these American government operatives are actually shell company organizations, right? They're shell company organizations. This is like, instead of money laundering, you know, for the most part, this is people laundering. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, this is people laundering, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media.
Kapargana and Akandi. They tried to charge even me as my taxi entered the ferryboat terminal in Turbo, stopping the taxi, but then looking in through the window before determining that I was no immigrant and letting us through.
Because of the way we look, and they probably saw you're an American, so they
just looked right in through the windshield and just said,
yeah, they can tell.
Much in the way of U.S. national and homeland security is riding on Panama's plan to close the Darien Gap. The Biden-Harris White House was supposed to help Panama pressure its ally Colombia to shut this down. Promised American money for deportation flights out of Panama hasn't showed up, forcing Panama to keep its side of the border open still. But the Clan del Golfo, the United Nations, migrant help groups, and the Colombian government, and thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants who will end up living in America are still on the machine. All for one and one for all, here in northwestern Colombia.
I'm Todd Binsman, Center for Immigration Studies in Colombia.
All right, so there's that. So that's kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. So now, we don't hear too much about Clan del Golfo. We don't hear too much about Clan del Golfo, but we're going to definitely be talking about them. Right? Colombia's Clan del Golfo gang network extends to 28 countries. Now, let's ask this question, right? These 28 countries that Clan del Golfo extends to, do you all think that these countries are countries that Clan del Golfo is helping to smuggle migrants into? If you guys think that they are, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that they're not, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Kirk. Yeah. Kirk says, man, these open borders are a whole money-making industry for the cartels. Bro, facts. Facts. And I got to agree. Kirk says, wouldn't have all that cartel action at the border if they shut this illegal immigration down. Facts. Facts. Now, check this out. Look at this. Here go. This is something crazy, right? Look at this. Y'all going to die laughing. Now, if the border was actually secure, what would Kamala Harris say that she was going to do? What would Kamala Harris say that she was going to do if voted in as president? What would she be able to say? You know what I'm saying? Do you know that, like, Kamala Harris, what's bizarre about this entire situation, she's running her entire campaign is based on fixing a bunch of problems that she is directly responsible for. Like, that's wild. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to vote for me. I'm going to fix all these problems that I caused. Like, what? Like, you can't make it up. You know what I mean? You literally cannot make that. You cannot make it up. You cannot make it up, man. Shout out to everybody that's watching too. I appreciate you guys. We got 30 people watching and 36 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. Let's try to get the likes to 60. All right. If you guys haven't shared, take a moment and share the stream. And we're close to 1-1. We got 30 people watching and 36 likes. So we just need 6 more people to watch, and we'll be at the 1-1. So now it says Colombian authorities are focused on breaking up the Clan del Golfo gang, whose network extends to 28 countries around the world after the capture of the group's leader late last month, the country's top cop said on Wednesday. Now, mind you, again, this is an old article, right? They haven't mentioned Clan del Golfo in forever. November 3rd of 2021. All right, so this is old. Dario Antonio Asuga, alias Antonel, was the country's most wanted drug lord until he was detained in the northern jungle region of Uraba in what President Ivan Duque says was the hardest recent blow to drug trafficking. Usuga's former organization has alliances with 5 international cartels and mafia groups to distribute 20 tons of cocaine per month. General Jorge Luis Vargas, the director of the National Police, told journalists, listen, look at this. 5 international cartels and mafia groups to distribute 20 tons of cocaine per month. Whoo! I don't want to listen to a rap album ever again. Shout out to Win for subscribing. Make sure y'all show Win some love for subscribing. I don't want to listen to a rap album ever again, man. If you're not if you're not talking them Clan del Golfo numbers, man, I'm not trying to hear what you're saying, man. I'm not trying to hear what you're saying. $20 tons of cocaine. Yeah, keys are obsolete. Facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Big facts, bro. Keys, what keys? This is boatloads. You know what I'm saying? We talking about metric tons. Good Lord. They're using construction equipment. They're using construction equipment to move their product. Nobody from this level of drug distribution knows anybody in your neighborhood's name. Nobody in your neighborhood is on a first name basis with these people. Would you, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. There is no one in your neighborhood that is on a first name basis with any of these people here. I don't care how many tattoos they got on their face. I don't care how much jail time they served. I don't care about none of that. Nobody in your hood knows these people. Shout out to Crew Reality Cruise there. It probably got to go through me at the rail yard. We can move it. Right. Look, man, listen, I'm going to tell you the facts. How many rap songs have you heard mention Clan Del Golfo? How many rap songs mention Clan Del Golfo? None. I'm gonna tell you why, because you're not dealing with these people. That's why. You know what I'm saying? Street level ain't dealing with them people, man. Street level, right, is the same as being a line worker at a factory. And now on Undocumented, we've gone full circle to where we now about to go in on people because they don't even do crime right. See how that works? See how that works? Now we're about to go in on people because they don't even do crime right. Somebody name me a rap album where Clan Del Golfo has been mentioned. They mentioned Sosa and El Chapo, and they mentioned a lot of different people that they've never come in contact with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Man, listen, shout out to Black Free Thinker. I agree. Black Free Thinker says they probably make TDA look like a bunch of Eagle Scouts. Bro, they make TDA look like you know what I'm saying, little Boy Scouts. That's why we haven't heard of them. Who these people? You know what I'm saying? They're a listen to this. Look at it. Look, hold on real quick. I'm about to look up the definition of who these people are. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Hold on. Because the definition of them is crazy. Right? Like just the entire definition of who they are is wild. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Clan Del Golfo. Right? Look at this. Clan Del Golfo, known as the Gatonist Self-Defense Forces of Colombia and formerly called Los Urbanos and Clan Usuga, is a prominent Colombian pro-paramilitary group and currently the country's largest drug cartel. I mean, this is when you get to this is when like the lines between government and criminality is not even they blurred. They the same. Neo paramilitary group and a Colombian drug cartel. What? Yeah, they definitely making Trindel Aragua look like, you know what I'm saying, Boy Scouts. Los Urbanos is one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Colombia. The crime syndicate recruits its members mainly from former right-wing paramilitaries and is said to have around 6,000 men under arms. In addition to drug trafficking, the Gulf clan is also involved in illegal mining and racketeering and is responsible for numerous murders and exploitations. It is based in the Urabá region, Antioquia, and is involved in the Colombian armed conflict. I mean, you got the criminal cartel, you know what I'm saying, like as part of the military. This right here is the epitome of that third world corruption I be talking about. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Los Urbanos is one of the organizations that appeared after the demobilization of the United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia. In late 2011, Los Urbanos declared war on Los Rastrojos over the control of the drug trade in Medellin. Their main source of income is cocaine trafficking, as they appear to be the largest distributor of cocaine in all of Colombia. As of late 2021, it is considered the most powerful criminal organization in Colombia, having some 3,000 members in the inner circle of the organization in 2016, with its current members unknown. And see, this is what I'm talking about. The current member, you don't even know who these people are. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody in your, and see, I said this before we even got to the Wikipedia page. Don't nobody in your neighborhood know who these, no one knows who these people are. It's other members of this organization who don't know who these people are. You know what I'm saying? Its rivals include the National Liberation Army. The Gulf Clan has recruited accomplices at the highest level of the military hierarchy, such as generals and colonels. I mean, so this cartel, for the most part, they're for the most part very influential. You know what I'm saying? In the country of Colombia's government operations. Would you guys, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Look at this. So I mean, this you know, this Clan del Golfo, I mean, they're their own set of content. you know what I mean? Like, there's so much to say about these individuals here. They're their own set of content. You know, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And again, when like how it is with most criminal organizations, or like, you know, with most issues of criminality, the people that nobody knows who they are, those are the real nefarious parties behind the scenes. Those are real nefarious parties behind the scenes, not the people that are the show people up front. You know what I'm saying? The show people who are the show, like the people up front who are the like representatives, those are just the character. Those are just the mascot. You know what I'm saying? Like, speaking of Diddy, right? You know, Craig Mack and Black Rob and Biggie and, you know what I'm saying, Mace and all that. Those are just the mascots of Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Diddy was the actual bad boy. You know what I'm saying? You don't see the people that do this, that do the wrong, that do the majority of the wrongdoing. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says 5 mafias and international cartels are the principals with whom Clan del Golfo traffics: Jalisco Nueva Generation and Sinaloa in Mexico, the Calabresa and Sicilian mafias in Italy, and the Balkan networks, Vargas said. Do you guys notice anything about those criminal networks? What do you notice about those criminal networks? Somebody not doing crime right. Those criminal networks lock out and block out black criminal networks so that you will be sentenced to a lifetime of middlemaning. And then what happens when you're sentenced to a lifetime of middlemaning and you pride yourself on being a middleman? Next thing you know, when Trinde Aragua, when they show up in Chicago, then you go run into the New York Post for interviews because, you know what I'm saying? They come in and take over the block. One thing that, you know, might not have realized this already, but they already had the block. You know what I'm saying? They already had the block. And when you're not doing crime right, you don't notice these things. You know what I'm saying? When you operate on gaslighting, you don't pick up on that stuff. Well, here it is. You know what I'm saying? Another world is correct moment, right? So now here it says Asuga was laundering the clan's money with business people of Lebanese, Arab, and Israeli origin, Vargas said without giving details. We have identified 28 countries, look at this, where cocaine is being sent by the group. Besides regular routes to the United States through Central America, the clan sends narcotic to Belgium, Spain, the Netherlands, Germany, France, Ireland, Britain, Italy, Albania, and Ukraine. All right, let's see what this is. Let's see what they're talking about here.
I can confirm at 6:40 a.m. today, the ship was listing heavily and smoke was visible from a ship. At 9 a.m., it was known to have capsized and is now below the surface. At this stage, the exact cause of the grounding is unknown, and this will need further investigation. I can confirm there were 75 people on board at the time the ship ran aground, including 7 civilians from scientific agencies and 4.
Shout out to Kiko. Make sure y'all show Kiko some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kiko. And y'all know Kiko hit your boy with the big bag. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the yellowing up. So make sure y'all get y'all forks. Make sure y'all get y'all knives. Make sure y'all get y'all plates. Because if you're hungry, it's time to eat some cats and dogs.
In Springfield. So don't push me. Ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels. Have you seen Garfield? Eat the cat. Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is cough it up like a hairball. Eat the cat. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. They're eating the dog. Gone overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and the where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And they the cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Drop that cat.
Shout out to Kiko, man. Definitely appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all show Kiko some love. Shout out to Lois. What's good with it, Lois? Kiko says, Rob, what do you expect the #1 export in these countries is cocaine? Even if they get in bed with Big Pharma or they do this and our government supports all of it. Yeah, facts. And there's been a couple times when I had content that I wanted to do that was about the Chinese government and how the Chinese government supports the importing of narcotics, mainly fentanyl, into the United States, right? But it kind of fell out of the news cycle and I wasn't able to do it. But hopefully if some new updates come, you know, I'll be able to bring that back around, right? But one of the things that I want to introduce to people is the quote unquote logistics of employees. Right? Anytime an organization goes international, one thing that you have to do is you have to establish relationships wherever you go, right? And you also have to establish employees in those areas, right? So people should ask the question, is a global international drug expansion operation underway that's being hidden within the migrant crisis? If you ask me, the migrant crisis probably less of a crisis than is actually being advertised as, and more so is actually migrant reorganization, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna start going into that a little bit more to hammer onto that point. You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, and shout out to Crew Reality. Crew Reality says Mexico is suing U.S. gun companies about violence in Mexico. They want us to change our gun laws, and they want to have guns less available so that the money, the proceeds from the illegal operations that they do once these criminal migrants are here in the United States can be sent back to those countries. And if there's less guns to be able for law enforcement to have and for people to be able to defend themselves with, the revenues are going to be a lot higher because there's going to be less of a barricade from them doing those illegal acts that they're generating the revenues from, right? So, see, now this is where now things are expanding. We've got more things to look at. You see how that works? You got more overlap. You know what I'm saying?
Or foreign military personnel.
There will obviously be an inquiry, a court of inquiry, to establish exactly what caused this incident. I look forward to pinpointing the cause.
So now that doesn't have anything with what we talk to do with what we're talking about. So we're gonna just skip past that. So now here it says the group has a connection, right? The group has connection as far afield as Iran, China, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates, Vargo said. It is not common that one organization, and especially a Colombian one, traffics to those countries. The government has said Ontanel's extradition to the United States on drug trafficking charges is a priority, but Vargas did not give a date for the procedure. Analysts said Usuga's arrest could break the clan into small groups, cause an internal war, or lead to groups like National Liberation Army rebels to attempt a takeover, but is unlikely to affect drug shipments. Now, let's ask this question. Why would this be unlikely to affect drug shipments? Those drugs, they got to go. They got to flow. The drugs got to keep flowing. There is a lot. There are a lot of organizations that are making massive amounts of money, right? Massive amounts of money based on Clan del Golfo activity, right? Yeah, and shout out to Black Free Thinker. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now look at this. This is that screenshot that they had in that video. All right. Leader of the violent Clan del Golfo, multi-billion-dollar drug trafficking organization, extradited from Colombia to face federal indictment. Now, this took place on May 5th of 2022. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What happened since then? This is the Ontanel person. Okay. Clan del Golfo. Like I said, I'm going to put this into the Discord. Clan del Golfo, they're their own rabbit hole. Yeah, basically, yeah, just like shipping companies get bought and sold, a new sign on the door and signature on the paycheck. Facts, you're still doing the same job. You know what I'm saying? In a lot of cases, you still got the same boss, right? In a lot of cases, you might actually still have the same boss. So what's interesting about this particular situation with Clan del Golfo, right, is that Clan del Golfo, they have expanded their enterprise. They've expanded their enterprise from being a billion-dollar drug trafficking organization to now they're contributing to human smuggling at the Darien Gap in collaboration with the NGOs and the Colombian government, who allegedly, right, the Colombian government allegedly had an alleged agreement with the Biden administration to calm down some of the activity going on in the Darien Gap, which, as we can see, didn't happen. It didn't happen. So now we got to ask the question, why didn't it happen? We will go down that rabbit hole in future content. All right. Shout out to everybody that came through, man. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys show some love for the stream sponsors. Definitely appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all show my man Win Loser Rug some love with the $10 super chat. Definitely appreciate it, bro. Shout out to Black Spider for becoming a member. I am greatly appreciative. Thank you very much. Shout out to you, as always, for your continued support. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to my man J007. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all show J007 some love. And shout out to Kiko410. Definitely appreciate you, bro. All of your continued support. Same with Win Loser Rug. Same with J007. I definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all. Make sure y'all show them some love. All right. Don't move a muscle. This will take you right into the next scheduled content. And there will be more streams throughout the day. Y'all know, make sure y'all join the Discord. We're going to figure out, you know what I'm saying, some stuff to talk about because I'm way behind on some things. And there will more than likely be another stream on this channel at around midnight. You know, I like 12:55. So, but throughout the day, it'll be something. I don't know what. All right. As always, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.